Chapter 704. In the deepest part of the underground secret chamber, Yang Dingtian released all his divine senses to search for the darkness mystic flame in his body. But he found nothing. Then, he released countless resentful spirits of the billion-spirit demonic flame into the depths of his sea of vital energy. Yang Dingtian was a 6-star grandmaster, so the surface area of his sea of vital energy was already extremely huge. If it was converted to surface area, it would be about a few hundred square kilometers or even bigger. That's right, this was a very mysterious feeling. Firstly, there was no physical existence of the sea of vital energy in the lower abdomen. However, the so-called energy body was a real existence. But its volume was very small, about the size of a bowl. But when it went deep into the sea of vital energy, the space of the sea of vital energy would become extremely vast and complicated. The interior of the sea of vital energy had layers upon layers, and it was completely an independent world. Countless resentful spirits entered the sea of vital energy to search for traces of the darkness mystic flame. In fact, Yang Dingtian had already searched a few times, but he still found nothing. Countless resentful spirits searched inch by inch for the darkness mystic flame, and it still took a total of 6 hours. This time, Yang Dingtian used countless resentful spirits to search every inch of space in the sea of vital energy, but he still found nothing. After all, the sea of vital energy that countless resentful spirits saw was too chaotic and blurry. Yang Dingtian sighed painfully. Ever since the darkness mystic flame had swallowed countless deep-sea mystic poison, it had fallen into a deep sleep. How long had it been? At that time, Qin Chichi was only a few months pregnant. Now, baby Yang Qin was already more than a year old, and the darkness mystic flame had been in a deep sleep for almost 2 years. It had not woken up for 2 years. When exactly was it going to wake up? Yang Dingtian wanted to get up and walk out of the secret chamber, because all the important members of the Council of Light had come to the South Mansion to make the final decision on the matters before and after the duel. Moreover, Yang Dingtian had to start with Yin Kalin to create a grandmaster, because she had broken through to the 9-star and 9th grade grandmaster level for more than 10 years. There were only 3 days to the duel. If the darkness mystic flame did not wake up, he would definitely lose or even die. Try again. Yang Dingtian searched for Queen Poisa in his mind. Poisa, try to enter my Qi Sea with your consciousness. See if you can find a sleeping, but incomparably powerful energy. It's a darkness profound flame. Yang Dingtian said. Darkness profound flame? Queen Poisa asked in surprise. What is that? Do you know about the celestial Red Sea? Yang Dingtian asked. Of course I do. Queen Poisa said. Before the Naga Empire was established, the celestial Red Sea was under Dongli's control. When the Naga Empire was established, the celestial Red Sea was under my control. Now, there was no doubt that the celestial Red Sea was under High Exion's control. The seawater above is the most terrifying energy black hole that can be refined into dark crystals. Yang Dingtian said, my wife Yinyan Shimen was once poisoned by the dark crystal, so her cultivation had been deteriorating. I used a special method to force the dark crystal out of her body. Then, I tried to burn it with the million-spirit demon fire, intending to destroy the dark crystal. Unexpectedly, not only was it not destroyed, it even gave birth to a brand new darkness profound flame. However, this darkness profound flame was extremely weak and could not fight on its own, nor could it be exposed to the air. After I swallowed the demon spirit demon fire, it swallowed most of the demon spirit demon fire's energy and became a truly powerful darkness profound flame. Queen Poisa was shocked. The dark crystal can create the darkness profound flame? Yes, Yang Dingtian said. Then when I was fighting with Qin Chichi and Ning Wuming, I used the deep sea poison seed to attack the Sea of Abyss. I unintentionally caused the profound chi and blood of the tens of thousands of blood-eye demon soldiers to be swallowed by the deep sea mystic poison and turned into countless deep sea mystic poison blood pools. They corroded the ground for dozens of miles, and even corroded Cloud Heaven City and the entire northwest continent. At my wit's end, I could only use the darkness profound flame to swallow the deep-sea mystic poison. I actually succeeded, but after swallowing less than half, the darkness profound flame seemed to be unable to digest so much deep-sea mystic poison, so it fell into a deep slumber. Thus I brought Shuang into this profound poison blood pool. Queen Poisa hissed. Then Shuang completely transformed into Naga. Yes, Yang Dingtian said. And now, the darkness profound flame has already been in a deep slumber for 2 years. He is my only hope of defeating Wu Yuming. Thus, I want you to use your divine sense to enter my chi vessel to search. This way, you will be able to see more clearly. All right, I will enter your chi vessel to search, Viper Queen said. But you have to use the primal chaos profound flame to envelop my divine sense. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't be able to enter. Okay, Yang Dingtian said. Then Queen Poisa released her divine sense energy. Yang Dingtian wrapped her divine sense with the energy of wraiths that did not have any harmful attributes, and slowly entered the chi vessel. Queen Poisa's soul was still in Yang Dingtian's mind, sensing everything that this wisp of divine sense energy sensed. This way it was indeed much clearer. Queen Poisa saw the situation in the chi vessel, and was completely stunned. Perhaps this was the first person in the world to see the true chi vessel. Yang Dingtian controlled countless wraiths. Although it was like he was using his arms, the perception of these wraiths was still quite vague. It was only a rough idea. After Queen Poisa's divine sense entered, her vision was incomparably clear. After Queen Poisa saw everything in the chi vessel, she immediately transmitted everything she saw to Yang Dingtian's mind. Yang Dingtian was also completely dumbfounded. It turned out that the chi vessel was actually so mysterious and so beautiful. How should he describe it? The chi vessel seemed to be about a few hundred square kilometers at first glance. But when he continued to go deeper, he realized that there was actually a kind of endless feeling. And this chi vessel, just from the visual, what did it look like? Close to it, it was like the void world that Yang Dingtian saw in the taboo continent. That's right, it was the void world. Yang Dingtian faintly felt that he seemed to have discovered the greatest secret in history again. Everywhere was filled with light and strange shadows, layer upon layer, complicated and chaotic, and magnificent. Purple, red, and golden light and shadows. Like mountains, like the sea, they filled the chi vessel. Occasionally, there would be a flash of lightning. Why did it look so similar to the void world? Yang Dingtian almost forgot that the purpose of this trip was to find the darkness mystic flame, and started to wander in the chi vessel obsessively. He exclaimed that he had unintentionally done something very, very great. The great significance of this matter might not be inferior to the discovery of the God realm. The code of the martial arts civilization of the God realm formed the foundation of this world. Then the source was undoubtedly the chi vessel. Knowing the depths of the chi vessel, did it mean that he knew the other half of this world's civilization? Did mastering the chi vessel and the martial arts code mean that he had mastered the entire chaotic world? Did it mean that he was a god? Yang Dingtian's thoughts expanded again. Did it mean that after entering the chi vessel, Yang Dingtian could find the first-class evil spirit seed that had long been buried in Dongfang Bingling's body? As long as this first-class evil spirit seed was dug out, did it mean that Bing Ling could be restored to her original appearance? Could she regain her consciousness and continue to be Yang Dingtian's good helper and wife? Yes, definitely. The first-class evil spirit seed must be in the deepest part of the chi vessel. Fourth-class evil spirits and below had no life. They were just pure energy dead objects. Third-class evil spirits had life and no consciousness. Second-class evil spirits had their own consciousness. First-class evil spirits had life, consciousness, and consciousness. For some unknown reason, after Dongfang Bingling became the disciple of the Nihility Piaoling, the first-class evil spirit seed was planted in her chi vessel. Then it quietly lay dormant there. For the next 20 years, Dongfang Bingling's cultivation base was achieved by her own talent and hard work. Because the evil spirit seed was still dormant in her chi vessel, it did not fill her entire body. Until Ningyu used the soul-devouring devil to attack Dongfang Bingling, awakening and activating the first-class evil spirit seed in her body. In an instant, An incomparably powerful evil spirit energy enveloped Dongfang Bingling's entire body. And Bingling did not become a puppet succubus. Instead, she became the incomparably powerful and noble Princess Mudan. Now, young Dingtian knew that at that time, if young Dingtian had used the Demon King's tear to save Bingling, he would not have been able to save her. Because once the first-class evil spirit was activated, it would be useless even if the Demon King's tear melted the soul-devouring devil. Of course, if young Dingtian did not save Dugafungu back then, she would have really become a miserable puppet succubus that could not control her own body. Without a doubt, the first-class evil spirit in Dongfang Bingling's body was incomparably powerful. But as long as he found the right direction, young Dingtian would definitely be able to save her, and even the nihility Piaoling suppressing the excitement in his heart, young Dingtian continued to tour the Qi vessel and continued to be intoxicated by the beautiful scenery of the void world. Back when he was in the taboo continent, young Dingtian already felt that the void world was mystical and beautiful. Now that he was deep in the void world in the Qi vessel, he suddenly had a feeling of intoxication. At this moment, young Dingtian even had a feeling of being able to die in the evening after hearing the Tao in the morning. He even put the matter of the duel with Wu Yuming at the back of his mind. Compared to the great significance of discovering the top secret of the Qi vessel, the duel with Wu Yuming was nothing. Young Dingtian finally exclaimed, "Poisa, why do you think the Qi vessel and the void world are so similar?" "Is that so? I have never been to the void world before." Queen Poisa said, "Hurry up and find it. The key is to find the darkness mystic flame." Once Queen Poisa said that, young Dingtian immediately woke up from his intoxicated world. That's right. Discovering the secret of the Qi vessel was equivalent to finding another key to this world's civilization. It was equivalent to taking another step towards the realm of God. But right now, the duel with Wu Yuming was the most important. For example, you discovered a huge treasure that could allow you to become the richest man in the world. But now, you are being obstructed by a knife-wielding bandit, even though the bandit has nothing to do with the treasure. But if you want to become the richest man in the world, you have to at least defeat him and survive. If you want to reach the realm of God and save Bingling, you have to survive first. Hence, young Dingtian let go of the intoxication in his heart and searched for traces of the darkness mystic flame in the extremely complicated Qi vessel. Soon, young Dingtian saw the million-spirit demon fire. It was a red flame that was burning beautifully and quietly. Not long after, young Dingtian found the demon spirit demon fire. The blue flame was like a peerless beauty, burning quietly in the void world. How to find the darkness mystic flame? It was very simple. The Qi vessel in front of him was like the void world. There were purple, red, and even golden light balls everywhere. There were also streaks of lightning flashing past. Then, what color was the darkness mystic flame? Of course it was black. It was completely black, a black that swallowed all light. Suddenly, young Dingtian's body trembled. He thought of the fallen black dragon in the void world. Then he couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine. How similar, how imaginative. Young Dingtian was searching for the black color in the Qi vessel. And the Qi vessel was exactly the same as the void world. And in the void world, there was always a fallen black dragon that was swimming around. Like time, it existed eternally in the void world. Then young Dingtian suddenly thought of something. When he left the taboo continent, he realized that the so-called palace was actually a huge head floating in the void world. That's right, a damaged and ancient huge head. What did this mean? Young Dingtian tried his best to control himself, but he couldn't stop his body from trembling. What was that head? Why could he see the evolution of the chaotic world for billions of years after entering that head? Why did he pass through the void world for so long? Unfortunately, he didn't see what the face of this head looked like. He tried his best to suppress all the thoughts in his heart. Shock, surprise, and trembling. Then, he continued to search for the darkness mystic flame in the Qi vessel, looking for the black thing. He kept going deeper, deeper, deeper. Young Dingtian's Qi vessel wasn't big. It was only a few hundred square kilometers. But it was very, very deep, completely unfathomable. The Viper Queen's spiritual energy kept going deeper, 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 searching for any possible black thing. She didn't know how deep she went. Maybe it was dozens of miles, or hundreds of miles. The deeper she went, the rarer and thinner the light balls were. The space here was more spacious and empty. Young Dingtian clearly felt that Queen Poise's soul was in pain and strenuous. She couldn't continue, because the deeper she went, the more empty it was. The energy consumed was incomparably huge, but Queen Poisa kept going deeper and deeper. There was still nothing. Until there were no light balls or shadows in the surroundings. There was only emptiness. There was nothing. She had searched the entire chi vessel, but there was really nothing. She found the demon spirit demon fire, and the million spirit demon fire, but she didn't find any trace of black. Yang Dingtian and Queen Poisa were in despair. After searching for a long time, Queen Poisa's spiritual energy suddenly raised her head. Then she was completely stunned. Yang Dingtian and Queen Poisa's souls fell into deep trembling. Found it. Found the darkness mystic flame. But what she found was far more than just the darkness mystic flame. Chapter 705. Through Poisa's consciousness, Yang Dingtian saw the end of the sea of energy. It was an endless deep space. Of course, this was nothing, but the key point was it looked like a real starry sky. It was exactly the same as the starry sky in the taboo continent. There were countless stars twinkling in the sky. However, he could not see the end of it. Could it be that everyone's sea of energy was really an individual universe? If so, wouldn't it be limitless and endless? Yang Dingtian suddenly thought that the so-called taboo continent did not exist at all. It was just a spiritual world of a certain domain. Then whose domain did this belong to? Everything that Yang Dingtian saw during his adventure in the taboo continent, the billions of years of changes in the chaotic world, might have been what it had experienced. If that was the case, it had experienced billions of years of changes in the chaotic world. Then who could it be? Who was it when there was no life in the chaotic world, and it already existed in this world? Obviously, this question was extremely profound. With Yang Dingtian's current knowledge, he could not understand it. Instantly, his gaze fell on the darkness mystic flame. That's right, this was definitely the darkness mystic flame. How far was it from Poisa's consciousness in the endless deep space at the end of the sea of energy? He did not know, but it was very far, and Poisa could not reach it. It was actually sleeping in such a deep place in the sea of energy. No wonder Yang Dingtian could not feel its existence at all. The deep space here was also a forbidden domain to the sea of energy. Yang Dingtian originally found it difficult to discover it, because the endless deep space was dark, and so was the darkness mystic flame. However, Yang Dingtian saw at first glance that the deep space here was densely filled with stars. There was only one place where there were no stars, and only complete darkness. Moreover, this darkness, despite being in deep sleep, seemed to be breathing gently like everyone who was sleeping. Therefore, it was moving, although it was moving very gently. Moreover, he could vaguely see that it was in the shape of a flame. Without a doubt, it was the darkness mystic flame. A flame that was already in deep sleep, hibernating in the deep space of the sea of energy unreachable. How to wake it up? Fly directly to its side, touch it, and wake it up? That was impossible. First of all, it was not a sleeping child. It would not wake up if touched. Secondly, it was dormant in the deep space of the Qi Sea, which was extremely far away, and no energy could reach it. Poisa's consciousness was already on the verge of collapse at this position. If it went any deeper, it would be in danger of her soul dispersing. It was even more impossible to touch it with the resentful spirits of the million-spirit demonic fire. Poisa's spiritual energy couldn't reach it, let alone the resentful spirit. But Yang Dingtian was still prepared to give it a try. Poisa, I'm preparing to release the wraiths to touch the darkness profound flame in the deep space of the Qi Sea. Hold on for a while longer, I have to watch these wraiths enter. Yang Dingtian said. All right, Poisa said. Immediately, the vengeful spirit attached to her consciousness obeyed Yang Dingtian's will and flew towards the deep sky, wanting to touch the darkness mystic flame. But these wraiths had just left Poisa's consciousness and immediately fell into the deep space, completely losing control. Yang Dingtian could only look on helplessly as they continued to fall and fall, after which they completely lost control and connection. These wraiths were completely lost. Yang Dingtian was shocked again. The scene in front of him was exactly the same as what he saw in the taboo continent. So this was how the so-called anti-gravity came about. It was just the suction of the deep space black hole. This was how the so-called falling into the deep space came about. And the reason why there were 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, and so on was not scientific at all. It was because time had sped up, so the suction of the starry sky had become stronger. That taboo continent had already far exceeded the scope of Yang Dingtian's understanding. Perhaps the ultimate secret of this world was already buried there. Now the sea of the netherworld had actually sealed that place. Did they also discover something? Then, let's put aside the taboo continent for now. The darkness mystic flame floated in the deep space of the Sea of Qi. It would never be possible to actively touch it, unless Yang Dingtian's cultivation skyrocketed, and the energy of the void world could reach the position of the darkness mystic flame. At that time, he would at least be a half-sage. In other words, the darkness mystic flame would wake up naturally. However, it would have to wait until the day when Yang Dingtian's cultivation reached that level. Previously, Yang Dingtian let the darkness mystic flame swallow so much deep-sea mystic poison, which was a form of pulling up seedlings to help them grow. Poisa, let's come back, Yang Dingtian said. Then Queen Poisa, who was on the verge of collapse, immediately withdrew her consciousness. Under the protection of the chaotic energy, her consciousness energy smoothly left the Sea of Qi and quickly returned to Yang Dingtian's brain. At this time, she was already very weak. Little Tian, I used too much mental energy just now. I may need to rest for a while, Queen Poisa said. Okay, you've worked hard, Yang Dingtian said. Then Queen Poisa's soul entered a deep sleep. He had to think of other ways to awaken the darkness mystic flame, and time was running out. Yang Dingtian slowly opened his eyes. At this time, 12 hours had passed since he went into seclusion. Yang Dingtian opened the door, and Yun Zhenu was indeed waiting outside. Your mother and the others must be waiting anxiously. I'll go now, Yang Dingtian said. There's no hurry, Yun Zhenu said. Madame Emoji is here, and she seems to be very anxious. Third Lady Gongsun also came with her. Yang Dingtian was shocked. Where? In the first room of the secret underground room, Yun Zhenu said, and then she immediately led the way. Looking at her charming back, Yang Dingtian suddenly asked, Did Wu Yuming come to find trouble with you? Yun Zhenu stopped, turned around, and looked at Yang Dingtian. Not yet. Sect Master, I don't know what you're worried about. But please don't worry about me, okay? No matter who I am, I've always wanted to be useful and follow you. I'm doing well now, so I want to continue. Yang Dingtian was stunned, and then he nodded that I in the secret room. Yang Dingtian saw Wu Maji, and of course Dishi Bian, who was always by her side, and Third Lady Gongsun. Yang Dingtian obviously knew that Third Lady Gongsun was Qin Ji. Wu Maji destroyed Qin Ji's physical body, and then let Qin Ji's soul take over Third Lady Gongsun's body. This matter was not approved by him, but he told Yang Dingtian afterwards. Yang Dingtian was shocked, and could only sigh. Therefore, his revenge on Third Lady Gongsun was left unsettled. Otherwise, Third Lady Gongsun would be in the Council of Light's prison, begging for death. Yang Dingtian's arrest warrant had been issued, and it was a death warrant. Whether she was guilty or not, she must be found guilty. Seeing Third Lady Gongsun appear in front of him, Yang Dingtian's heart trembled, and he had a bad feeling. Wu Maji, on the other hand, had a face of uneasiness that had never been seen before. She always had the feeling that she was the pearl of wisdom, and it was rare to see her so uneasy. Husband, I acted on my own initiative again, and let Qin Ji poison Wu Yuming, Wu Maji said. I know you'll blame me, and I shouldn't have let Qin Ji take the risk, but I still did it. Yang Dingtian's eyes were filled with shock as he asked, When did this happen? 16 hours ago, yesterday afternoon, Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian did want to blame her, as this was practically sending Qin Ji to her death. But his lips moved, and he did not blame her. It was true that Wu Maji was his wife, but she had her own independent will in many matters. Moreover, it was already in the past, and there was no point in blaming her. Yang Dingtian asked, "What poison did you use?" "Darkness crystal," Wu Maji said. Yang Dingtian was shocked. "Maji, where did you get the darkness crystal?" Wu Maji said, "Before I went to the taboo continent, I went to the Dongli grasslands and saw the Snakeman Empire's Queen Hyexan. I asked her for it." Yang Dingtian asked, "Why did she give it to you?" Wu Maji said, "I called her sister." Yang Dingtian did not know whether to laugh or cry. No wonder Hyexan would give such a precious darkness crystal. This darkness crystal was probably the result of the entire Snakeman Empire's efforts during this period. Wu Maji was Wu Maji's sister, so of course Hyexan would give it to her. Yang Dingtian suppressed his complicated emotions and asked, "Did Qinji's poison succeed?" "It's a success," Wu Maji said. "Qinji, tell my husband." Third Lady Gongsun said with a rare solemn expression, "Wu Yuming does not eat anything every day, and only takes a very precious type of dew. Previously, Third Lady Gongsun made it for him personally, and now it's my turn to make it for him. I made the dew as usual, then put the darkness crystal in it, and gave it to him to drink." Yang Dingtian asked, "He drank it?" "He drank it," Third Lady Gongsun said. "But before drinking it, he sniffed it a few times, as if he was putting on an act. But he still drank it in one gulp." Yang Dingtian asked, "And then?" Third Lady Gongsun said, "Then he acted up, and a black aura surged out of his body. It was as if there was a black hole in his body, and it kept swallowing his energy. Even his muscles started to wither, and he became very scary. He used a sword to cut open his stomach, and used his hands to tear open his mystic veins. But he still could not get the darkness crystal out of his body." Third Lady Gongsun spoke again in great detail. He described how Wu Yuming wanted to kill him, and how he let him go in the end. Every expression, every word, was clearly described, and it was even more detailed than when he told Wu Maji. After he finished, Third Lady Gongsun stood to the side without moving. "Husband, what do you think? Do you think Wu Yuming was really poisoned?" Wu Maji asked. Yang Dingtian asked, "Jiji, what do you think?" Wu Maji said, "If he succeeded, I should be very happy. But instead, I felt very uneasy, because in my expectations, the success rate was really low, and the results were too good, even better than what I expected. If things were too good, it would seem fake. So, I felt more and more uneasy, and quickly came to find you to tell you the truth." Wu Maji was still very rational. If she did something good, she might not say it immediately, but if she did something wrong, she would say it immediately. She did not want to delay, and lead to worse consequences. Yang Dingtian sighed and said, "Jiji, your intuition should be right. Wu Yuming will definitely not be fooled so easily. Others might not feel the darkness crystal, but he will definitely feel it. You have to know that the darkness crystal that Yang Yinchong used to harm Uncle Shimin was given to him by young Master Dongli of the evil ways. Wu Yuming is the same as Dongli, the adopted son of the demon king Wentian. It's impossible that he doesn't know anything about the darkness crystal." Wu Maji's beautiful eyes were red. "I also thought of this point, but at that time, I felt that Dongli would definitely treat the darkness crystal as his exclusive property, and not let anyone touch it. Although he and Wu Yuming are adopted brothers, the competition and enmity between them is stronger than anyone else's." "Yes," Yang Dingtian said. "So, Wu Yuming should be begging for the darkness crystal." Hearing this, Wu Maji's expression changed. "Husband, you mean that not only will this dark crystal not weaken him, but it will also make him stronger?" Without waiting for Wu Maji's reply, she nodded and said, "Yes, it must be so. Otherwise, he wouldn't have drunk it even though he knew it was the darkness crystal. Otherwise, he wouldn't have put on such a show with Qinji. The darkness crystal must have made him stronger. I really deserve to die." Wu Maji finally couldn't take it anymore and burst into tears. Yang Dingtian hurriedly hugged Qinji and said gently, "Baby, you're panicking because you care too much. Besides, even if Wu Yuming becomes stronger, it's nothing, because he's already very strong. If I don't find a way to defeat him, then even if the darkness crystal makes him stronger, It has nothing to do with me. Then what should I do? What should I do? Wumaji cried in panic. I think I'm smart, but I can only cause trouble. I can only cause trouble. Then, Wumaji buried herself in Yang Dingtian's arms and cried loudly. Previously, Wumaji had caused Wu Yuming to suffer losses several times. In every direct confrontation, Wu Yuming had never won. It was as if Wumaji's intelligence was enough to crush Wu Yuming. This gave people the impression that Wumaji was much smarter than Wu Yuming. But in reality, that might not be the case. Wumaji was very smart, perhaps the smartest woman in the world. However, she was quick-witted and quick-witted. When it came to a head-on confrontation, no one could win against her in close combat. She could immediately find the opponent's weakness. Even if there was only a small flaw, she could tear a huge hole in the opponent's defense. That was why he could snatch Wu Yuming and Dongli's hell magic crystals in the ghost hell region. He could torture the spirit vulture to the brink of death, but he would be completely unharmed. Later on, he could almost make Wu Yuming and Vulture Palace break off relations. He forced Wu Yuming to reveal his identity as the Demon King's foster son, and played this trump card in advance. However, Wu Yuming's advantage was her foresight and foresight. In fact, he was much more sinister than Wumaji. So this time, he could make Wumaji suffer a huge setback. Of course, he also had his shortcomings. He was more of an armchair strategist and was not down to earth. And this shortcoming, in these few months of direct confrontations with Dongfang Minmi and Qin Wanshou, had been gradually made up for. Therefore, although Wumaji and Wu Yuming were very smart, they lacked wisdom. Then who had wisdom? Yang Dingtian. That's right, Yang Dingtian. What was wisdom? That was to know clearly what one wanted to do. Once one set a goal, one would not change, and would continue to fight for this goal. Yang Dingtian was like that. Ever since he set his goal of saving the world, no matter what happened, no matter how the situation changed, he never changed. Even if he became the most powerful person in the world, his state of mind never changed. He was never blinded by power, nor was his soul suppressed by difficulties. This was wisdom. Huang Rong was very smart, Guijing was very stupid, but Huang Rong lacked wisdom, while Guijing had it. And in this world, those who could achieve great things were usually those with wisdom. Yang Dingtian's intelligence was not high, his political skills were not high, and his methods were not high, but having wisdom was enough. Husband, what should we do? Wumaji cried. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and held onto Wumaji's face as he spoke softly. Babe, everything that happens is due to fate. Many good things may not be good. A calamity might not necessarily be a calamity. Next, don't do anything, leave everything to me, okay? Tears streamed down Emoji's face, but she nodded obediently. Yang Dingtian kissed her beautiful little mouth gently saying, Okay, I have to go do something. In the next few days, you have to protect Qinji and yourself. Okay. Emoji sobbed and nodded vigorously. Yang Dingtian kissed Emoji again, then mouthed to Dishibian, take care of them. Dishibian nodded vigorously. This was also a person with wisdom, but she seemed to have not found her goal, because she had not found what she truly cared about. Then, Yang Dingtian opened the door and walked out. At this moment, Yun Zhenu came forward and said, Sect Master, do you want to go to the meeting hall? Yang Dingtian said, No, go to the meeting hall first, and apologize to the sect masters on my behalf. I have something important to do, and I will only be back tomorrow. Ask them to pretend that I am having a meeting with them. Yes, sect master. Yun Zhenu said. Then go to the meeting hall. Yang Dingtian changed his mind at the last minute, because he thought of a way to awaken the darkness mystic flame. Yang Dingtian walked to the top of the castle through the secret passage, then took advantage of the night, directly flew out of the castle, and at the same time, sent a special sound wave command to Demon Vulture King Aja. A few hundred miles away, Demon Vulture King Aja and Yang Dingtian met up. Yang Dingtian rode on Demon Vulture King, and flew to the ice and snow in the north. At more than 10,000 meters in the sky, Aja used all his strength to fly at supersonic speed, more than 2,000 miles per hour. 8 hours later, Yang Dingtian flew to the sky above the ice and snow. tens of thousands of miles of ice and snow here, and it was desolate and uninhabited. Yang Dingtian landed on the ground, then dug a thick layer of ice. After digging for more than 10 meters, there were more than 10 corpses buried in the depths of the ice. At this time, these corpses were all frozen stiff, but they were still alive. These corpses were used by Ning Wuming to pretend to be the experts of the Snow Clan, and each of them had a considerable amount of darkness crystals. At that time, Ning Wuming had set a trap, intending to use these darkness crystals to capture all the experts on Yang Dingtian's side in one fell swoop. So many precious darkness crystals, Ning Wuming did not know how he got them. Perhaps, this was the most important treasure that Li Ming had given him. So Ning Wuming also treated it as his biggest trump card. After Yang Dingtian got these corpses, he immediately hid them in the most secretive place, and did not tell anyone. This was because this thing was too dangerous, and it was an energy existence second only to the high demon. After a few choices, he buried these corpses in the ice and snow. Just now, Qinji poisoned Wu Yuming, and the darkness crystals. Yang Dingtian was inspired. So, he thought of a way to awaken the darkness flame. He did not know if it would be effective, but the probability was higher. If it was ineffective, then it would be impossible to awaken the darkness flame in the depths of his dantian. More than 10 corpses floated in front of Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian summoned the million-spirit demonic flame, and adjusted it to the most reasonable temperature. Swoosh! Then, he threw the dark flame at the corpses. Boom! Instantly, this reasonable temperature burned the corpses into powder, and they disappeared in a puff of smoke. Then in the air, a ball of darkness energy suddenly exploded, and then condensed in an instant. In the end, an extremely dark darkness crystal, which could swallow all light and energy, floated in the air. Chapter 706. The size of this dark crystal was probably tens of thousands of times larger than the one that was forced out of Yinyan's body. That's right, tens of thousands of times larger, because the dark crystal that Yang Yinchong used to frame Shimen Wuya was very small. Furthermore, Yinyan Shimen had only tasted it. Therefore, the dark crystal in Yinyan's body was only the size of a speck of dust. It could not even be seen with the naked eye. Even though it was only the size of a speck of dust, it was enough to destroy all of Yinyan's cultivation. The one in Yang Dingtian's hand was tens of thousands of times larger than the one in Yinyan's hand. It could be seen how powerful it was. Of course, although this dark crystal sounded very big, it was only about the size of a diamond. It looked insignificant to the naked eye. But who knew how much seawater was used to refine such a dark crystal? And when Wu Maji poisoned Wu Yuming, it was about the size of a 1-carat diamond. It was about 10 times larger than the one in Yang Dingtian's hand. Actually, this also revealed a dangerous signal. The Snake People Empire was refining the dark crystal with all their might, and treating it as a strategic material. What exactly was Queen Hai Xian trying to do? Perhaps in terms of personal feelings, Queen Hai Xian was biased towards Yang Dingtian. But in terms of right and wrong, Queen Hai Xian and Yang Dingtian were at odds. From the fact that she put Dongli in an important position and cooperated with the evil ways, it could be seen her stance in the upcoming war of world destruction. Therefore, in Queen Hai Xian's heart, the destruction of Yang Dingtian's cultivation, and his wholeheartedly being her husband, was perhaps the most perfect outcome. This could be seen from how she stopped Yang Dingtian from obtaining the 4th stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship with all her might. Yang Dingtian used his hand to touch this dark crystal. Immediately, he felt the mystic chi energy within his mystic meridians flowing away rapidly, as it was engulfed by this dark crystal. This was really the most dangerous thing in the world. However, this was probably the only way to awaken the darkness mystic flame. Yang Dingtian was now faced with 2 choices. The first option was to melt the darkness crystal in the snow and consume it. The second option was to use the mystic flame to create a new darkness mystic flame, and swallow it into his body. Which one should he choose? Yang Dingtian really didn't know. The first method was to directly consume the darkness crystal, which could cause the energy in one's entire body to be completely devoured. One had to know that although this dark crystal was only about the size of a diamond, it was tens of thousands of times larger than Yinyan's. He dared not imagine how powerful it would be. Perhaps it would directly devour Yang Dingtian's cultivation, and even his life force. Therefore, the second option seemed to be the most perfect one. Using the mystic fire to burn the darkness crystal to create a new darkness mystic fire. After that, Yang Dingtian swallowed this new darkness profound flame, and awakened the darkness profound flame in his body. It sounded perfect, didn't it? However, in reality, if Yang Dingtian used the million spirit demonic flame to burn the darkness crystal, would a new darkness mystic flame be born? This was a problem. Why was the darkness mystic flame formed then? It was because the energy levels of the darkness mystic flame and the darkness crystal that Yang Dingtian released had reached a balance. If the mystic flame's energy was stronger, perhaps the darkness crystal would be completely destroyed. If the mystic flame's energy was weaker, it would be completely devoured by the darkness crystal, and the darkness crystal would become bigger. Yang Dingtian remembered the scene clearly. In the beginning, the darkness crystal was indeed growing bigger and devouring continuously. After that, Yang Dingtian suddenly increased the mystic flame's energy and broke through the limit of the darkness crystal. It was as though the mystic flame and the darkness crystal perished together, and the darkness mystic flame was born. Therefore, even though no one could prove this theory, the darkness mystic flame would only be born when the mystic flame and the darkness crystal reached an absolute balance and perished together. Yang Dingtian felt that this theory was valid. Then the darkness crystal in front of him was so huge. It was tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of times bigger than Yinyan's darkness crystal. How much mystic flame's energy did Yang Dingtian need to perish together with it? It might not be enough even if Yang Dingtian used up all the million spirit demon fire and devil spirit demon fire in his body. Moreover, this was different from using the mystic flame to attack. When using the mystic flame to attack, the mystic flame's origin energy in the body would not decrease. But if it was devoured by the darkness crystal, the mystic flame's energy would decrease by the same amount. This darkness crystal was so huge. If Yang Dingtian's million spirit demon fire and devil spirit demon fire were not enough, then Yang Dingtian would be in for a total tragedy. At that time, the darkness mystic flame would not be awakened, and the devil spirit demon fire and million spirit demon fire would disappear. Yang Dingtian would not be able to find his grave, even if he wanted to cry. After careful and crazy thinking, Yang Dingtian decided on the first choice. Directly consume the darkness crystal. It was crazy, right? Anyone who heard it would feel incomparably crazy. Perhaps this was the craziest thing in the world. This thing was the most terrifying thing in the world. To actually consume it directly, even if one was seeking death, this was not the way to do it. Yang Dingtian looked at the darkness crystal in his hand and allowed it to devour his mystic qi. Anyway, whether he lived or died, it all depended on this. He took out a cup, filled it with snow, and used his mystic qi to melt it into snow water. He threw the darkness crystal in. In an instant, it disappeared without a trace. Moreover, it was colorless and odorless. The water level was not even a little bit higher. Little guy, the disguise technique is very impressive. Yang Dingtian held the cup of water and licked his lips. This was a world of ice and snow for thousands of miles. In the entire world, there was only him. How many people could this thing poison to death? At least 10,000, or 100,000, or even more. Yang Dingtian deeply felt that if there was a death-seeking competition, he would definitely be ranked first. He was sure that Wu Yuming would be fine after drinking it, but Yang Dingtian's darkness mystic flame was sleeping and might not be able to save its master in time. Wu Yuming did not die after drinking it, but it did not mean that Yang Dingtian would not die after drinking it. Anyway, this was a real life after death situation. However, if he did not drink it, in the duel 2.5 days later, he Yang Dingtian would definitely die. What was the point of dying 2 or 3 days earlier, or 2 or 3 days later? He might as well fight to the death. Mr. Wu Yuming cheers. Facing the direction of Central State, Yang Dingtian drank it in one gulp. Not bad. It seemed like he did not feel anything. Yang Dingtian stood on the snowy ground, not moving at all, as if he really did not feel anything. Then, Yang Dingtian suddenly realized that he could not feel the existence of his body. There seemed to be an incomparably huge darkness mystic flame in his body, crazily devouring all his energy, all his mystic qi, all his vitality. Then, he watched helplessly as the muscles on his body crazily shriveled. His chest, his stomach crazily collapsed. A terrifying black aura instantly enveloped his entire body. Yang Dingtian's healthy muscles all over his body disappeared without a trace. His two eye sockets suddenly sunk deep. In an instant, his entire body became like a mummy, like a malicious ghost. His entire body was only covered by a layer of skin, wrapped around the skeleton. His entire body was completely black, completely dark. The situation looked even more tragic and terrifying than Wu Yoming's. At this time, even the woman who loved him the most would scream in terror and have nightmares for the rest of her life if she saw him like this. Fuck. Yang Dingtian's throat squeezed out two words with difficulty. Then his body trembled, and he suddenly knelt on the snowy ground. Then, he suddenly let out an incomparably mournful scream, an incomparably mournful scream. Following that, his body began to crack inch by inch until it was completely torn apart. From head to toe, every inch of his body cracked open. A frantic roar, a painful roar. Boundless pain like hell struck. This kind of pain was even worse than watching his skin being skinned alive. Boom! Then, raging flames abruptly emerged from the cracks all over his body. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's entire body was completely engulfed by the raging flames. It was a dark flame, a completely dark flame. Not only was it black, but it also carried a terrifying green. The combination of black and green was perhaps the most terrifying color in the world. Hello! Yang Dingtian, who had transformed into flames, roared. In an instant, the snow beneath him melted quickly. A few hundred meters, a few thousand meters, dozens of miles, hundreds of miles. A few hundred miles of ice and snow completely melted, turning into a few hundred miles of lake. The water in the lake was frantically surging and boiling. The color of the lake water changed from transparent to blood red, then to black, completely black. Finally, in the black, a wave of terrifying green seeped in. Yang Dingtian's body was completely burned into charcoal. Then the flames gradually extinguished. Immediately after, the green in the hundreds of miles of lake water quickly faded and quickly poured into Yang Dingtian's body. Immediately after, the black also began to fade and poured into Yang Dingtian's body. The muscles and skin on his body grew rapidly, from the soles of his feet all the way up to his chest, to the top of his head. He changed from charcoal back to the complete Yang Dingtian again. At this time, the hundreds of miles of lake water returned to being completely clear again. The naked Yang Dingtian floated in the sea just like that. The sun pierced his eyes. He suddenly opened his eyes. Then he gently jumped up from the lake water. In an instant, the hundreds of miles of lake below began to quickly freeze into ice, returning to the previous world of ice and snow. And Yang Dingtian had completely recovered to the previous Yang Dingtian. It was as if nothing had happened. Floating in the air, Yang Dingtian stretched out his hand, and a black-green flame immediately emerged. That's right, it was a black-green flame. After devouring countless deep-sea Xian poison, and such a large darkness crystal, the darkness profound flame had turned into a black-green color. Then, what kind of flame was it now? Yang Dingtian did not know, but there was no doubt that it had completed a complete transformation. If not for you borrowing the power of these hundreds of miles of ice and snow to release energy, I would have been dead this time, Yang Dingtian said. The black-green flame in the palm of his hand spun gently, as if it had turned into some kind of shape, spiraling in the palm of his hand as though it was alive. Yang Dingtian's heart was suddenly overwhelmed with shock. The current appearance of this black-green flame, what was it? Why was it the appearance of a fallen black dragon? What exactly happened? Chapter 707. For the first time, Yang Dingtian felt like he was about to pee in his pants. Please don't play with me. I'm not that brave in this aspect. But as if in the blink of an eye, the dark green-black dragon disappeared without a trace. Yang Dingtian rubbed his eyes hard. There was only a dark green mystic fire in his palm. There was nothing different. Could it be that he was really seeing things? It shouldn't be. That winding, mysterious, strange and powerful appearance was indeed the appearance of a fallen black dragon. Why don't you transform again for me to see? Yang Dingtian asked. The dark mystic fire didn't respond. Come on, I won't be afraid. I can take it. Yang Dingtian stared at the dark mystic fire in his palm, but it was still burning quietly without any change. It was as if it had lost its previous spirituality. In the end, Yang Dingtian gave up the idea of summoning it, and kept the dark mystic fire back into his body. Then he quickly checked his sea of qi to check his own cultivation. There was such a big commotion just now. His cultivation should have broken through a little, right? But after checking, Yang Dingtian was a little disappointed. His cultivation didn't break through at all. It even decreased a little because the dark crystal directly swallowed a lot of mystic qi cultivation. The dark crystal was too terrifying. It specifically chose the pure mystic qi in the sea of qi, and the instinctive energy in the sea of qi to swallow. But it was good that he had successfully awakened the dark mystic fire. Although the dark mystic fire seemed to have become very strange, and Yang Dingtian didn't know how powerful it was. There was almost no test subject here. It had been a long time since he left Zhongjing. Master and Yun Kailan should be waiting anxiously. Yang Dingtian flew into the air and met with Demon Vulture King, Aja, a few hundred miles away. Although there was no one here to be safe, when Yang Dingtian awakened the dark mystic fire, he still let Acho hover in the air around him. He didn't let anyone get close to Yang Dingtian. The moment he met up with Acho looked at Yang Dingtian in a daze. Yang Dingtian. What? You don't recognize me? Aju shook his head, but he couldn't explain it. Master looked exactly the same as before, but he felt a little different. Yang Dingtian leaped onto King Demon Vulture's back. King Demon Vulture let out a long howl and flew towards Zhongjing at a speed of over 2,000 miles per hour. 8 hours later, Yang Dingtian arrived in the sky above Zhongjing. He landed in the sky above the North Mansion and directly entered the council hall. All the leaders of the Council of Light had been waiting here for a full 20 hours. All of Yang Dingtian's direct subordinates had already arrived. The meeting hall was filled to the brim with a dozen or so people sitting in it. Seeing that Yang Dingtian had returned, they were not unhappy at all. Instead, they were overjoyed. Yang Dingtian must have left last night, because he had something very important to do. Now that he had returned on time, it meant that this matter had gone smoothly. After Yang Dingtian sat down in his seat, he said, "There are only a little more than 2 days left before the duel. No matter what we do now, we can't change the outcome of the duel. So the next thing to discuss is, what if we win the duel? What if we lose? The point is, what if we lose?" Qin Wancho pondered for a moment and said, "In your opinion, what are the chances of winning this time?" Yang Dingtian, "I don't know. First of all, let's assume that Wu Yoming's cultivation is a 9-star 9th-level Grandmaster, which is the same as Sect Master Zhu. Then in terms of cultivation, 10 of me can't compare to 1 Wu Yuming. It seems that I will lose without a doubt, but I also have a trump card. Of course, I can't be sure if my trump card has a chance of winning." Speaking of this, Yang Dingtian said to Song Chunhua, "Chunhua, come with me to the secret room to test my trump card." "Yes," Song Chunhua said. Then, Yang Dingtian and Song Chunhua left the meeting hall temporarily and entered the secret room. Yang Dingtian, use the heavenly phoenix fire to attack me with all your might. "Yes," Song Chunhua said. Subsequently, she circulated all of her mystic qi and combined it with the demonic dragon totem's energy. She blasted out the phoenix heavenly flame and attacked Yang Dingtian. The dark mystic flame in Yang Dingtian's palm was released suddenly. When Song Chunhua saw this dark green flame, she couldn't help but be stunned. Then the two mystic flames met in the air. Yang Dingtian's dark mystic flame was originally enough to devour all kinds of energy. With the addition of the deep sea mystic poison's energy, how could this be? It should be able to easily devour the mystic flame's energy from Song Chunhua's attack instantly. However, However, nothing happened. Song Chuanhua's mystic flame directly bombarded Yang Dingtian's chest. Yang Dingtian was stunned and was directly blasted dozens of steps back. His blood and qi were in turmoil. What does this mean? Yang Dingtian was completely stunned. How did this black-green mystic flame become completely harmless to humans and animals? Aren't you very awesome? You were born from the nirvana of the dark mystic flame. You can devour the most powerful energy in this world. Why did he become so harmless? Song Chunhua was also stunned. Then she whispered, Sect Master, why don't you use that dark green mystic flame to attack me? This is very dangerous, Yang Dingtian said. Try using a very low level, Song Chunhua said. Yang Dingtian nodded, and then suddenly blasted out a dark green mystic flame. Instantly, like a dark green lightning, it directly hit Song Chunhua's chest. Then there was no feeling at all. That flame was burning in front of Song Chunhua's chest, but it couldn't even burn her clothes. What does this mean? Yang Dingtian looked at the flame in front of Song Chunhua's chest. I don't know either. Song Chunhua said, How did you form this flame? Yang Dingtian said, A new mystic flame was born when the million-spirit demonic flame burned the dark crystal. It's called the dark mystic flame. Then it devoured the energy of the demon spirit demonic flame and became a really powerful mystic flame. Then, it devoured the deep-sea mystic poison in the entire pool, and then fell into a deep sleep for 2 years. Finally, I consumed a dark crystal that was equivalent to 10 million caddies of water from the celestial Red Sea. Then the new flame was born. When Yang Dingtian said this, Song Chunhua was even more stunned. The dark crystal was the most terrifying energy in the world. It was almost at the top of the world's energy, with the evil spirit. The deep-sea mystic poison was also the most terrifying energy in the world. It was almost at the same level as the dark crystal and the evil spirit. The demon spirit demonic flame was the fourth heaven and earth mystic flame in the world. No matter which one of these three things was taken out, it would shock the world. When mixed together, it should be extremely terrifying. It should be able to destroy the world. Why didn't it cause any damage? Was this a ghost? Yang Dingtian retracted the black-green mystic flame in front of Song Chunhua's chest and let it float in his palm. It clearly wasn't of the primal chaos attribute. So why didn't it cause any damage? What the hell is going on here? Sect Master, is it missing something? Song Chunhua suddenly said. Missing something? Yang Dingtian said. You instinctively feel that it's missing something? Song Chunhua said. The strongest energy in the world are the evil spirit, the dark crystal, the deep-sea mystic poison, and the heaven and earth mystic flame. Is it missing an evil spirit? Yang Dingtian couldn't help but tremble. The hole in your brain is really big. It's not like you don't know what an evil spirit is. Could it be that I really mixed the energy of an evil spirit into it? You also know that once an evil spirit is implanted, it can't be removed for life. When Wentian revives, the person implanted with the evil spirit will be in danger. At this point, Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat, because Wu Maji and Duan Ruyan both had evil spirit energy in their bodies. Although he didn't know if his twin children had evil spirit energy, they were Wu Maji's children. I feel that you can release a flame from your body and let the evil spirit energy get close to it. See if there's any reaction? Song Chunhua said. Yang Dingtian had evil spirit energy in his hands, but it was a 4th grade one. He got it when he defeated Qin Chichi. Yang Dingtian took out a special energy box and opened it. A chaotic light floated inside. This was 4th grade evil spirit energy. After hesitating for a while, Yang Dingtian decided to give it a try according to Song Chunhua's suggestion. Then he flicked his finger lightly. Instantly, the black-green mystic flame in his palm floated in the air by itself. It looked mysterious, beautiful, lonely, and even terrifying. This should be a fantasy experiment, right? Moreover, it was the most dangerous experiment in the world. The evil spirit was the most evil and terrifying energy in the world. The black-green mystic flame, forget it. Originally, it should be said that it was the most terrifying and the most evil. But now, it actually displayed a completely harmless appearance. Yang Dingtian was completely speechless. In short, It was a new species formed by mixing the most possible energy in the world. Then, Yang Dingtian controlled the black-green mystic flame, and the fourth great evil spirit to slowly approach it. If there was really any reaction, it should be like Mars colliding with Earth. Yang Dingtian had no idea what kind of terrible consequences there would be. Therefore, the closer he got, the more he held his breath. His hands couldn't help but tremble. He was like that. At critical moments, he would be nervous and tremble. He even wanted to say, "Forget it, I give up." However, no matter how nervous he was, he never gave up. The black-green mystic flame and the evil spirit energy slowly approached closer. There was no reaction. Yang Dingtian gritted his teeth. If he was going to die, so be it. Then, he mixed the evil spirit energy and the black-green mystic flame together. Suddenly, still nothing happened. These two things were completely respectful to each other. Although they were together, they didn't mix at all. There was no reaction at all. The black-green mystic flame was still burning quietly, and the evil spirit energy was still wriggling gently. There was no reaction at all. Yang Dingtian stared until his eyes were sore, but there was still no reaction. In the end, Yang Dingtian gave up completely. Then he kept the black-green mystic flame and put the evil spirit back into the energy box. He knew that this black-green mystic flame was definitely not simple. It must be the most terrifying thing in the world. However, it might not be complete now. It still had something missing. As for what it was missing, Yang Dingtian didn't know. But no matter what it was missing, it couldn't be made up before the battle with Wu Yuming. Or when it was complete, Yang Dingtian would be the most powerful person in the universe and reach the god level. However, before that, this mystic flame had no use at all. Yang Dingtian was absolutely unwilling to get this result. He was totally unwilling. Yang Dingtian returned to the meeting hall. Immediately, everyone looked at him expectantly. He rubbed his eyebrows with difficulty and said, "In the upcoming battle, my chance of winning is very small. It's almost zero, unless a miracle happens, but I can't imagine any miracle happening." As soon as these words came out, everyone's faces trembled. "So, in this battle, I will wear Wu Maji's demonic spirit mist cloak, I will wear the demonic spirit black armor, and I will wear the universe ring and the ring of protection." Yang Dingtian said word by word. "I will do my best to protect my own life." As for how to prepare for the situation after the battle, now, let's start to discuss what we should do after we lose the battle. Once these words were spoken, the faces of everyone present turned pale. Yang Dingtian continued. "Previously, I used the secret weapon, the missile, to blackmail Wolingzi and let his Black Vulture Corps withdraw from Zhongjing. But if I lose the battle, then Wolingzi may change his mind, and the leaders of the swing forces in Central Continent will all rely on Wu Yuming. Our situation will become very passive and difficult." Without a doubt, Yang Dingtian described the worst-case scenario. Instantly, the atmosphere in the meeting hall became extremely oppressive. Zhu Hongxue and the rest even found it difficult to breathe. Yang Dingtian said, "If this worst-case scenario happens, what should we do? Withdraw from Central Continent and hide in West Continent? Or start a civil war and use force to unify the entire chaotic world? This is what we need to discuss." After Yang Dingtian finished speaking, no one spoke. "Withdraw from West Continent," Wuxia said. "West Continent is our absolute home ground. Even if Wu Yuming controls the entire Central Continent, she can forget about doing anything to West Continent. Back then, West Continent was so weak. Zhu Qingzhu mobilized all the Central Continent armed forces, but they were all wiped out. Now our West Continent Corps is unrivaled and invincible." Wuxia's words were met with silence. Many people's silence represented tacit agreement. Song Xiao suddenly said, "If we withdraw from West Continent, then we might not even be able to protect West Continent, because it's hard to guarantee that some of us here will waver." Wuxia's expression changed. "Song Xiao, who are you talking about? What do you mean?" Song Xiao said, "Wu Yuming invited the important members of the Council of Light a few times. Among us, only you went." I just can't bring myself to do it," Wuxia said. Qin Wanqiu coughed and said slowly, I know many of you here will doubt me. It was very difficult for me to enter the Council of Light. I struggled between the evil ways and sect leader Yang several times. Then I solemnly declare that as long as sect leader Yang doesn't die, I will not betray. Dongfang Minmi said slowly. If we withdraw from Central Continent, then the forces in East Continent will not directly defect to Wu Yoming's camp. But at least half of them will waver. I can only protect half of East Continent. I will even have to start a massacre, not only on East Continent, but also on Yinyang School. Duan Rian said slowly. If we withdraw from Central Continent, I can guarantee that Southwest Continent will be the most loyal and will never betray us. Song Xiao said firmly. I have betrayed before. I have joined the evil ways' camp. But this time, even if sect leader Yang dies, I will not betray. At most, I will die. The North will never betray us. Song Lihua, who had never spoken, said slowly. The North will not betray us. City Lord Qin will not betray us. Southwest Continent will not betray us. West Continent will be impregnable. Even if someone wants to betray us, he will be seeking his own death. When she said this, Xiao Wanjia's expression turned even uglier. And us. Kuei Si said slowly. Actually, anyone here can betray us. Earth-splitting city and Cloud Sky Pavilion will definitely not betray us. Everyone knows the reason. We, the Vulture Palace, and the evil ways are in a life-and-death struggle. Song Lihua said. It seems that after sect leader loses the duel, retreating from Central Continent is the best choice. That way, we can protect half of East Continent, the entire West Continent, and the entire Yingzhou Continent. In terms of military power, we will still be invincible. Also, we can avoid the civil war in the chaotic world and preserve our strength for the Great Apocalypse War. Yang Dingtian said. Then what will happen after retreating from West Continent? Qin Wancho said. We will focus on developing our military power, while sect leader will cultivate with all his might. Before the Great Apocalypse War arrives, we will kill Wu Yuming. Furthermore, the West Continent, Yingzhou Continent, and half of East Continent's strength will be enough to fight against the Great Apocalypse Army and Central Continent's allied forces. As long as you don't die, I will always have great hopes for you. Yang Dingtian said. We have sacrificed a lot to enter Central Continent. We have controlled half of Central Continent and spent a lot of effort. Are you willing to just retreat like this? Dongfang Minmi said slowly. We are adults. We only care about the pros and cons. We don't care about whether we are willing or not. Qin Wancho said. Also, if we don't retreat from Central Continent, the Great World War will break out in advance. West Continent is developing rapidly. If we waste a lot of our elites in this civil war, the losses will outweigh the gains. Because of the existence of the Black Vulture Corps, our chances of winning this war are very small. Also, if the war breaks out into a martial arts duel, the other party has 2 half-sages. We have no chance of winning. Yang Dingtian said. Everyone here agrees to retreat from Central Continent, right? You all think that we should completely abandon Central Continent. Although everyone was unwilling, they all nodded. Yang Dingtian said. If I lose the duel and choose to completely abandon Central Continent, raise your hands. Instantly pairs of hands were raised. Dongfang Minmi, Qin Wancho, and Xiao Wanjia were the first to raise their hands. Then Duan Ruyan, Kuei Si, and Yun Kalin raised their hands. Next Song Xiao, Song Chunhua, Qin Huayu, Song Lihua Liguanong, and Zhuo Qingqi all raised their hands. Finally, Dishi Bian, and the leaders of the forces affiliated with Black Heaven Sect and Yinyang School also raised their hands. In other words, all of Yang Dingtian's followers raised their hands, indicating that they agreed to abandon Central Continent. This was a one-sided vote. Only Yang Dingtian did not raise his hand. Dongfang Minmi said, Sect Master, sometimes retreating is for a better way to advance. Compared to Wu Yuming, we need more time. We need to find a way to destroy the Black Vulture Corps. We need to find special crystal veins. We need time to build more submarines. Our new warships are not ready yet. As long as Yang Dingtian raised his hand, this decision would be decided. If Yang Dingtian lost the duel, the Council of Light would completely abandon Central Continent. Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and fell into deep thought. He was hesitating. Was he struggling? No, he was just persuading himself to agree to the decision to abandon Central Continent. Because he had already made a decision in his heart. He was prepared to make a decision arbitrarily. However, he wanted to use the last chance to persuade himself to accept the opinions of everyone present. There was a saying that the truth was often in the hands of a few people. However, he did not know if what he insisted on was the truth. After thinking for a full 15 minutes, Yang Dingtian found all the reasons to persuade himself to give up Central Continent. However, he still could not do it. He slowly opened his eyes and said, "I'm sorry, I can't give up Central Continent." As soon as these words came out, everyone present was shocked. Since the establishment of the Council of Light, Yang Dingtian had exerted his democratic style to the extreme. Almost all of his power was delegated. Almost everything was respected by the Council of Light's vote. Most of the time, he did not express his own opinions and completely obeyed the will of the group. This could be considered as the first and only time he would do so. He went against the will of everyone present. No one jumped out to question him immediately. Everyone's eyes fell on Yang Dingtian's face. First of all, I want to be honest. My cultivation may not even be 1/10 of Wu Yoming's. Yang Dingtian said. That's why I said that unless a miracle happens, it's impossible for me to win. However, we must not expect a miracle to happen. In that case, we must prepare for the worst. And that is my defeat. And that is 99% likely to happen. Yang Dingtian continued, that's right. Completely giving up Central Continent is almost the most beneficial choice for us, and also the choice with the least loss. I've been desperately trying to avoid a civil war. For this reason, I even used all the missiles to blackmail the Vulture Palace. But, Yang Dingtian said, if we completely give up Central Continent, what about Zhuo Qingqi and Zhu Hongshua's Black Heaven sect? Then what about the forces in Central Continent that are completely loyal to the Council of Light? West Continent, Ying Continent, and East Continent can negotiate with Wu Yuming for mutual non-aggression. However, Black Heaven sect and Central Continent's Council of Light's loyal forces will definitely be destroyed. Yang Dingtian was right. Wu Yuming had already made arrangements for the duel, and Zhu Hongyu was right by his side. Once Yang Dingtian lost the duel, Zhuo Qingqi would definitely step down, and Zhu Hongyu would enter Black Heaven sect. When that time came, Black Heaven sect's loyal forces and Central Continent's loyal forces would all be cruelly purged. Of course, some people might say that they can go to West Continent. Yang Dingtian said, Zhu Hongxue is willing to go to West Continent, but I think Sect Master Zhuo Qingqi is unwilling to go. Once Central Continent's loyal forces leave Central Continent, it's equivalent to giving up their people. It's equivalent to losing their roots. That's right. I'd rather die in Central Continent, Zhuo Qingqi said calmly. If we give up on Central Continent, it means abandoning our comrades and letting them die, Yang Dingtian said resolutely. I definitely can't do that. Sacrificing ourselves in exchange for survival. Perhaps many ambitious people or even heroes can do that, but I can't. Once Yang Dingtian's words were spoken, everyone present was moved. That's right. Yang Dingtian often did not consider things from the pros and cons, but from his emotions. The second point, Yang Dingtian said, once we give up on Central Continent, we'll lose all sense of righteousness, and Wu Yuming will be in charge of righteousness. Then it'll be a fatal blow to our morale. Righteousness may seem illusory, but it's the most important thing. Without righteousness, we won't be able to do anything righteously and justifiably. That's why I don't agree with giving up on Central Continent, Yang Dingtian said. This time, I want to be arbitrary. Once I lose the duel, I'll never give up on Central Continent. Even if it's a civil war, even if it's a world war, I'll fight on. As for how to win, how to deal with the Black Vulture Corps of the Vulture Palace, how to deal with the 20-odd Grandmasters of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea, and how to deal with the 2 half-saints. I can only say that I don't know, but we'll talk about it after the fight. Yang Dingtian stood up abruptly and slammed his fist on the table. That's right, we'll talk about it after the fight. Then, Yang Dingtian looked at everyone present and said slowly, "Then who objects?" No idea why. No one was repulsed by Yang Dingtian's rare display of dominance. Instead, they felt their blood boiling and goosebumps rising all over their bodies. Especially when Yang Dingtian said, "How to win? I don't know, but we'll talk about it after the fight." Especially Kuei Si, Zhuo Qingqi and Song Xiao, these extreme and stubborn people. Their blood was boiling, and they even felt like they were about to die. Song Xiao slammed the table and roared, "That's right, we'll talk about it after the fight. Who cares so much, we'll just perish together." Under Yang Dingtian's gaze, all the members of the Council of Light stood up one after another, expressing their obedience to Yang Dingtian's will. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's arbitrary decision reversed everyone's will in an instant. For the first time, Song Lihua felt that being smart was not always beneficial. When a person was too smart, they would have too many scruples and restrictions. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's role as a leader was directly highlighted. For such a crucial strategic decision, he had to be decisive and make everyone submit to his will. Yang Dingtian calmed his boiling blood and said slowly, "All right, then it's decided. Once I lose, I will never give up on Central State. Prepare for war, prepare for civil war, prepare for world war." Yang Dingtian continued to speak word by word. "We have to prepare for the worst in order to welcome the best outcome. We pray for the arrival of a miracle, but we don't expect a miracle. We have to prepare for the biggest war and welcome the arrival of the duel." "Yes, sir," everyone present shouted in unison. Chapter 708. Since we've decided to fight, the key is how to fight. Qin Wanqiu said. Song Chunhua said, "According to the original plan, Xiao Xiao and the Southwest Fleet will completely block the Netherworld Sea. The Central Continent Army, that has sided with Wu Yuming, is nothing to be afraid of. There are only two forces to pay attention to. The first is the Black Vulture Corps, and the second is the Masters of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea." Qin Wanqiu said, "The last close combat proved that it's unrealistic to fight the Black Vulture Corps on a large scale. We'll definitely lose. The only tactic is guerrilla warfare. Let the Demon Vulture Corps use small crystal crossbows to fight while moving. Don't care about air supremacy. Aim to kill the Black Vulture Corps on a large scale." Everyone nodded. There was no doubt that this was the only way. Qin Huayu said, "President Song, can your Demon Fire Phoenix play a role?" Song Chunhua said, "It can play a role. Since the last battle, I've put it in the magma of the Southwest continent most of the time. It's been swallowing magma for 2 years. The flame energy it swallowed is already very amazing." 2 years of magma energy? Qin Wanqiu said. "Is it enough to kill a large number of black vultures?" Song Chunhua said helplessly, "Leader and seniors, if the Demon Fire Phoenix uses all the energy it swallowed in the past 2 years to attack, I think it's enough to kill an astronomical number of Black Vulture Corps. But it's a monster with independent will, so most of the energy it swallows is used for its own growth. So if it wants to kill the Black Vulture Corps on a large scale, it still needs to swallow the flame energy on the spot. I think it'll be very difficult to burn 10,000 ships again." Suddenly, everyone was helpless. The Demon Fire Phoenix was indeed very powerful, but to kill a large number of people, it needed to swallow an astronomical amount of flame energy. Then, they couldn't burn down a mountain just for it. Burn down a city? Of course, they could do it as a last resort. They could burn the southern barbarian continent with a big fire, and then let the Demon Fire Phoenix swallow the astronomical amount of flames to destroy the countless black vultures in the fog. But this battle was different from the battle with Zhu Qingzhu. This was a battle of life and death, not a battle of gentlemen. As long as the Demon Fire Phoenix showed its amazing power, Wu Yuming would kill it at all costs. Although the magic fire demon Phoenix was very powerful, if Wu Yuming wanted to kill it, it was probably still as easy as blowing off dust. Moreover, even if the demonic fire demonic Phoenix breathed out flames, could it kill countless black vultures? This was not necessarily the case, because the black vultures were the same as the demon vultures. They did not have feathers and their skin was as tough as iron, making them extremely resistant to fire. At the very least, it was difficult for its body to be ignited. Therefore, once it was burned, the black vulture would immediately rush out of the flames. City Lord Kuei-si, how long can the demon eagle army last in the flames? Yang Dingtian asked. A quarter of an hour is not a problem, but it is almost impossible to ignite the demon vulture. Kuei-si said. Song Chunhua said. Not only the demon vulture, but the demon dragon is also almost impossible to ignite. This way, large-scale fire attacks were practically useless against the Black Vulture Legion. Song Chunhua said. However, the temperature of the flame that the demonic phoenix spits out is extremely high. It's enough to instantly burn the Black Vulture to death. However, the area of attack is very small. With Demon Phoenix's current cultivation, it can probably kill hundreds of Black Vultures. After all, it is still too small. Sigh, it's a pity that Xiao Xiao can't fly. Someone said. That's right, it's a pity that Xiao Xiao can't fly. Otherwise, with its huge body, it would be an invincible mothership in the air, able to sweep away all opponents in the air. However, it is a sea beast and can only be in the sea. Sect Master, that missile is very destructive against the Black Vulture Legion. Song Chunhua said. Yang Dingtian said. It is very big, but the error is too big. It can't even hit a fixed target, let alone a moving target like the Black Vulture. Song Chunhua said. I saw the entire missile launch. It is placed in a launcher to aim and then fired. Can we do it this way? We can make the missile smaller and let the Demon Eagle warriors carry the launcher and fire it. Moreover, the attack distance is set at a few dozen miles. That way, the error will be much smaller. Moreover, when the Black Vulture Legion comes, it will be a black mass. Of course, the gunpowder and crystals inside will be much less, and the power will be much lower, but it should still be very shocking. Yang Dingtian was stunned. As an earthling, he had thought of this idea, but he hadn't said it yet. Song Chunhua, the female general of the Chaos World, had said it earlier. Song Chunhua was indeed very keen on military affairs. Her imagination was super big. This thing is an RPG, a rocket launcher, and a weapon used to deal with tanks and helicopters. Yang Dingtian calculated that with the carrying capacity of the Demon Eagle and the strength of the Demon Eagle warriors, the crystal missile didn't need to be too small. 200 pounds was still possible. Of the 200 pounds, 100 pounds was the weight of the missile, so the other 100 pounds was the power of the explosives and crystals. In this way, the lethality of the bomb was about 100 meters in radius. If the Black Vultures were dense enough, it should be able to kill a dozen Black Vultures, or even a little more. What about the small crystal crossbow? If it shot the body, it would basically not die, but if it shot the head, it would definitely die. However, it was very difficult to shoot the head in the process of fast movement, especially in guerrilla warfare, not in a face-to-face decisive battle. In this way, the advantage of the small crystal missile would be much greater than that of the small crystal crossbow. This matter is promising. Yang Dingtian's eyes lit up and said, Chunhua, your plan is promising. The Demon Eagle Legion carrying this thing in guerrilla warfare is almost invincible. 100 Demon Eagle Legions can at least defend against thousands of Black Vultures. Song Chunhua said, Sect Master, there is a piece of bad news. Our special crystals are already very, very few. How many are left? Yang Dingtian asked. Song Chunhua walked to Yang Dingtian's ear and used her qi to directly inject her voice into Yang Dingtian's ear. Less than 300 pounds. This was not a despicable act, but because this bloody black gold-associated crystal had become one of the highest strategic materials of the Council of Light. Among the people present, there were no more than 3 people who had the right to know of its existence. This is too little, Yang Dingtian said. Have you sent people to explore the mine? Yes, so far, more than 10,000 people have been sent, but you also know that this kind of mineral vein is extremely rare. Song Chunhua said. Yes, bloody black gold mineral veins were extremely rare. And a mineral vein, if there were dozens of pieces of bloody black gold, it was considered a supermine. Last time, Yang Dingtian found 999 pieces of 10,000-year-old bloody black gold mineral veins, which was already a once in a millennium. However, even in that mineral vein, he only obtained 1,200 caddies of birth crystals. Song Chunhua said, "In the past month, we have actually explored 5 mineral veins, but the number of associated crystals harvested is less than 15 pounds. 300 pounds of special crystals. If it was a large missile, it would need 5 pounds of special crystals to fly a few hundred miles. However, if it was set to fly 20 to 30 miles, and the weight of the missile was only 200 pounds, then the bloody black gold associated crystal used for flight power would only need less than 1 or 2 grams. Of course, other power crystals, as well as the wind snake demon nucleus to form a power array. Then in each small crystal missile, half a pound of special crystals was put in the gunpowder to increase the explosive power. In this way, at least 500 small crystal missiles could be made. But there was still a problem that could not be solved, and that was that this thing had to be ignited with the mystic fire. Otherwise the reaction would not be extreme, and the power could not be exerted. However, this problem had been explained, and the warlocks were trying their best to solve it. Yang Dingtian said, "Pass down the order. Use the remaining special crystals to make 500 small missiles. The specific weight, distance, and distribution of crystals will be decided by the warlock team, so that the lethality can be maximized." "Yes," Song Chunhua said. "I will do it immediately." Then, Song Chunhua directly left the meeting hall, took the demon eagle, and flew towards the northwest. "Sect Master, is there a solution for the Black Vulture Legion?" Qin Huayu asked. "It depends on the actual combat, but we should not face a one-sided situation again," Yang Dingtian said. "With small crystal crossbows and small crystal missiles, we can at least prevent the Black Vulture Legion from entering our city. Once the war started, it would be a relatively long process. It was impossible to set up a strategy at this time and decide the situation in one battle. The problem of the Black Vulture Legion could only be solved here. Then, the next problem was to face the great master-level powerhouses of the Netherworld Sea and the Vulture Palace. The Vulture Palace was fine, although it had been passed down for thousands of years and had unique secret techniques. There were not many great master-level powerhouses and master-level powerhouses. The number of great master-level powerhouses in the Netherworld Sea was more frightening. In Zhongjing alone, there were no less than 20 great master-level powerhouses by Wu Yoming's side. More than half of them came from the Netherworld Sea. Moreover, there were 4 more on the side of the sealed taboo continent. Yang Dingtian did not know what method the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea used to have so many great master-level powerhouses. The Yinyang School only had 4 great master-level powerhouses. The Black Sky Sect only had 4 or 5. The Temple of Blood had slightly more great master-level powerhouses because of the 10,000 blood pool. The Joyous Palace only had 4 or 5 great master-level powerhouses. What about the great master-level powerhouses on Yang Dingtian's side? Yang Dingtian Dishi Bian, Dongfang Minmi, Qin Wanchou, Ning Busi Cheng Debiai, Shadowless, Zhuoqingqi, and of course Ling Bai. However, although she was a great master-level powerhouse, her fighting strength was worrying. This meant that Yang Dingtian only had 8 great master-level powerhouses on his side. Moreover, the difference between great master-level powerhouses was like heaven and earth. Otherwise, Zhu Qingzhu would not have been able to kill 6 or 7 great master-level powerhouses by himself. Moreover, Wu Yuming still had 2 half-sages on her side. If there was really no other way, they could only ask for help from the Temple of Blood. Although the reputation of working with the evil ways was unpleasant, Dugashao alone was equivalent to several great master-level powerhouses. Of course, Dugashao alone was not enough. If they could get Queen Hai Xian's support, it would be incredible. The Naga tribe under her command was full of powerhouses. The number of great master-level powerhouses was also very impressive. As long as Hai Xian was willing to help, Yang Dingtian's side would not be completely at a disadvantage in the martial battle with Wu Yuming. "Is there any news from the people we sent to look for sect leader Zhu?" Yang Dingtian asked. Not yet, Zhuo Qingqi said. But we have already released no less than 10,000 signal birds in the entire chaotic mainland. Sect leader Zhu should be able to see them. However, I am not sure if he will return to help us in the battle. Zhuo Qingqi was not sure, and neither was Yang Dingtian. It was one thing for him to give up the fight for supremacy. However, it was another thing if he would directly become enemies with the evil ways and start a war. Yang Dingtian looked at the crowd and said, "Among us, Master Yun Kalin, City Lord Kuei Si, President Song Xiao, and Pavilion Lord Duan Ruyan are all 9-star grade 9 grandmasters. The first 3 of them have been 9-star grade 9 grandmasters for many years. The reason why they could not break through to the great master level was because they lacked external energy. In the taboo mainland, I also could not break through to the great master level due to the lack of external energy. Later on, I created this external energy and forcefully expanded my meridians and sea of qi to break through to the great master level. Not only that, I also helped Madame Ling by break through to the great master level. Next, I will help President Song Xiao, Master Yun Kalin, and City Lord Kuei Si. If we succeed, we will have 3 more great master level powerhouses." When he said this, everyone was in disbelief. To them, not being able to break through to the great master level was a lifetime of pain. Only by breaking through to the great master level can one be considered a top powerhouse in this world and stand at the top of the pyramid. However, there are 2 restrictions to breaking through to the great master level. The first is the grade of 1 Xian Vein. The second is the external energy. The problem of Xian Vein grade can be said that since one can reach 9-star grade 9 grandmaster, then breaking through to the great master level shouldn't be a problem. As for the external energy, it can only be encountered by chance and not sought. Then the external energy can only rely on Xian Flame most of the time. Therefore, there is a saying, without Xian Flame, one can't break through to the great master level. Although it is not the truth, it is regarded as the truth by many people. Over time, it spread that all great master level powerhouses have Xian Flame. Without Xian Flame, one can't become a great master level powerhouse. For example, Wu Yan from the Netherworld Sea can't become a great master level powerhouse. She also doesn't have Xian Flame. However, Yang Dingtian suspects that the Netherworld Sea has the ability to make Wu Yan a great master level powerhouse. It's just that she is antisocial, and the Netherworld Sea doesn't want her to become a great master level powerhouse. Yang Dingtian even suspects that the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea have the ability to create this kind of external energy. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to produce so many great master level powerhouses. It's just like the Temple of Blood has the blood pool. However, what they have might be stronger than the blood pool. President Song Xiao, let's start with you, Yang Dingtian said. Then, Yang Dingtian and the others came to the top of the North Castle and prepared to create a great master level powerhouse. Chapter 709. Song Xiao sat cross-legged on an absolutely dry wooden couch. This was to ensure that he was completely insulated from the ground. Otherwise, the electric current would enter his body and forcefully expand his profound veins and energy sea. Guildmaster Song, I once helped Madame Ling Bai and myself break through to the Great Grandmaster realm, but that was in a very, very complicated environment. Now the power of my profound fire lightning will be extremely shocking, so if it fails you might die. Yang Dingtian said. If I die then so be it. Song Xiao laughed and said, Sect Master, you said before that you have about 80 to 90% confidence. In my opinion, I'm willing to take the risk even if there's a 30% chance, let alone 80% or 90%. In the past, Song Xiao would always wear a prosthetic leg. However, in order to prevent any accidents from happening during his breakthrough to the Martial Grandmaster realm, Yang Dingtian had asked him to remove it. At this moment, Kuei Si and Yun Kalin were standing behind him. There were only the 4 of them on the top of the castle. Yang Dingtian secretly calculated the energy level of the mystical fire lightning. Furthermore, if he didn't use the mystic fire lightning and directly used the devil sky splitting lightning, would it work? In fact, it was completely impossible. Even after Yang Dingtian had broken through to the semi-sage realm, he still might not be able to do so. This was because Yang Dingtian could infuse all the energy in his sea of qi into the lightning by using the mystic flame to create the lightning. Furthermore, the lightning would contain the energy of the mystic flame and the reaction energy of the mystic flame. However, the Devil Sky Split was a type of Xian skill. Even if Yang Dingtian used all his energy, he wouldn't be able to use up even 1% of the Xian qi in his body. Furthermore, lightning that was directly transformed from profound energy would have a much lower energy level. Therefore, the conclusion was that the lightning energy of the Devil Sky Split was less than 1% of the mystic flame's lightning energy. Of course, that might mean that if Yang Dingtian used the mystical flame lightning to attack someone, who would be able to withstand it? That's right. When Zhu Qingzhu was so powerful, Yang Dingtian's mystic flame lightning tore open a wound on his face. Moreover, Yang Dingtian was already a 6-star great grandmaster. Did that mean that Yang Dingtian could attack Wu Yuming with the mystic flame lightning? The answer was still no. This was because the mystic fire lightning needed a few seconds to be released. During this period of time, he would have dodged far away. It was impossible to hit him. Moreover, Wu Yuming still had a lightning attribute talisman on her body. This damn thing devoured lightning like its own life. If the lightning struck towards Wu Yuming, it was guaranteed that it would desperately devour it at the first moment. Then Yang Dingtian suddenly had an idea. Since the mystic fire lightning could help a 9-star 9th grade grandmaster break through, would it be possible to use the energy of the mystic flame directly? In the end, it was still impossible because the mystic flame's direct energy expression was shockingly high or low temperature. Therefore, when it entered the body, it instantly destroyed the human body. After the lightning energy entered the body, it would first cause some kind of reaction with the human body, then generate high temperature and burn the human body. However, when a person became a 9-star 9th grade grandmaster, the sea of qi in his body would naturally form something like an energy black hole. After a huge bolt of lightning energy entered the body, it was directly sucked into the sea of qi before it could react or burn the human body. Therefore, this was the mystery of Yang Dingtian's use of the mystic fire lightning to help him break through to the great grandmaster realm. Yang Dingtian thought for a long time before he sorted out this theory. Therefore, he was really lucky to use the mystic fire lightning to help him break through. At that time, when Yang Dingtian helped Ling Bai break through to the great grandmaster realm, he used less than 1/3 of the mystic qi in his body. At that time, Yang Dingtian's cultivation was a 4-star 5th grade grandmaster. Now, he had just broken through to the 6-star grandmaster realm. In other words, to help Song Xiao break through to the great grandmaster realm, he only needed to use about 1/8 of his mystic qi. Of course, it was better to use less. This mystic fire lightning consumed 1/8 of Yang Dingtian's sea of qi. It sounded very small, but in fact, it was nearly 100 times more than Yang Dingtian's Devil Sky Splitting lightning. It was already an extremely shocking level of energy. Sigh, what a pity. This mystic fire lightning was too slow. If it was as fast as the Devil Sky Splitting lightning, even a 9-star grandmaster wouldn't be able to escape from it. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yang Dingtian's left hand floated with the million spirit demon fire of the primal chaos attribute, while his right hand floated with the devil spirit demon fire of the primal chaos attribute. 1/8 of his mystic qi was slowly injected into the 2 mystic fires. Boom! Then, the 2 mystic fires flew a few thousand meters above Song Zhao's head like shooting stars. They collided fiercely. Pa! A loud sound was heard. Almost half of Zhongjing was as bright as day. A lightning bolt that was a few thousand meters long and a few hundred meters thick struck down fiercely. Then, it turned into a thin and bright blue light, and suddenly drilled into Song Zhao's head. Pa! In an instant, Song Zhao's entire body burst out with an extremely terrifying white light. The people on the top of the castle were almost temporarily blinded. After a full minute, everyone gradually recovered their power. Yang Dingtian hurriedly opened his eyes and looked at his results. even though he had calculated countless times in his heart, and there shouldn't be any mistakes. In fact, the proportion of mystic qi he used this time was already accurate to 3 digits behind the decimal point. Even though he already had enough theoretical support, Yang Dingtian was still worried. After all, this was someone else's life, not his own. If there was a mistake, he would lose a great general. Song Chunhua and Song Lihua would also lose their father. In the end, it should be considered to be the ultimate perfection. Previously, when he helped Lingbai to break through, the energy still overflowed slightly, causing her body and clothes to be charred black. And Song Xiao was completely unharmed. Even his clothes weren't burned, let alone any damage to his body. At this moment, he had already fallen into a complete daze. His entire body was constantly trembling and trembling. This was because the lightning energy had all entered his sea of qi, and was about to explode to completely expand the space of his sea of qi. What's going on? What's going on? Yang Dingtian realized that Song Xiao was constantly trembling, but he still didn't enter the void. Then his face became uglier and uglier, more and more terrifying, as if his entire body was about to be torn apart. Not good. The energy was still a little short, a little short. He was about to break through, but it was still a little short, so the energy might backfire. At this moment, it didn't matter if the energy was a lot less. After the Sea of Qi world devoured it, there would only be a slight reaction. The most terrifying thing was that it was a little short, or even a little more. Yang Dingtian was aghast, seeing that Song Xiao was about to be completely smashed into pieces. Making a prompt decision, a bolt of demonic sky-splitting lightning suddenly struck down on Song Xiao's head. This 1,000-meter-long and several-meter-thick bolt of lightning suddenly drilled into Song Xiao's body, and instantly disappeared without a trace. Boom! Yang Dingtian could even feel that a small nuclear bomb seemed to have detonated in Song Xiao's sea of qi. At the same time, the ground of Zhongjing seemed to be resonating and suddenly shook slightly. It didn't reach the level of an earthquake, but there was an obvious vibration. Then, Song Xiao completely entered the void. Success! Success! As for Yang Dingtian, he was almost scared out of his wits. His entire body was cold and trembling. Who knew it would be like this? Who knew that a little bit less energy would be so dangerous? Fortunately, his speed was fast enough, and directly struck down a bolt of demonic sky-splitting lightning. Otherwise, Song Xiao would have been turned into a pile of meat paste. After a full 15 minutes, Song Xiao opened his eyes. In an instant, the light that burst out from his eyes was as piercing as a substance. His entire being had undergone a metamorphosis. He got down from the wooden bed, limped and knocked his fake leg, then walked in front of Yang Dingtian and bowed almost 90 degrees. My life's wish has finally been fulfilled. From today onwards, I will serve the sect leader with my life. Song Xiao trembled, and then went downstairs. Breaking through to the Grandmaster level was his life's wish, and also his life's pain. Now his heart was surging, and he couldn't control himself at all. He needed to be alone in a private space to vent his inner emotions. Sure enough, not long after, from the secret underground chamber of the South Mansion Castle, there was a coquettish sound that sounded like a wolf's howl, followed by crazy laughter. Yin Kalin was even more excited than him. He was probably the most miserable person in the world. It had been many years since he broke through to the 9-star 9th grade Grandmaster level. Back then, when she was still young, she had already broken through to the Grandmaster level and received the envy and jealousy of everyone in the world. How crazy was she at that time? Everyone was waiting for her to break through to the Grandmaster level before the age of 40. However, 5 years had passed, 10 years had passed, 15 years had passed, and 20 years had passed. She still valued it, and she couldn't see any hope of breaking through to the Grandmaster level. Therefore, when others were 50 years old, they were still young and beautiful. But when she was 50 years old, she was already showing signs of old age. Not only that, her face became harsher, and the corners of her eyes became sharper. Now, seeing the hope of success, she was trembling so much that she couldn't take a step forward. She even needed Kuei-si to help her to the wooden bed and sit down. After sitting down, she was still trembling all over. She tried her best not to cry, Wait, sect leader. Wait. I'm too nervous now. If I'm not in a good state, it will definitely affect the result. Why don't we let Kuei-si do it first? Yin Kalin said while trembling. Yang Dingtian smiled and said, No, you don't need to be in a good state. When I helped Lingbai break through, she was trembling even more and crying loudly. Then what do you need me to do? I'll do my best to do it. What incantation should I use? How should I channel my celestial qi? Yin Kalin said while trembling. No, you don't need anything. Just sit there. Yang Dingtian said with a smile. Then, he released 2 chaos attribute mystic flames, and channeled 1/23 more celestial qi than 1/8 of the original. This was something that Yang Dingtian had carefully calculated. Whoosh, whoosh. The 2 mystic flames soared into the sky. Then when they collided, a bigger and brighter lightning bolt burst out. At that moment, a large portion of the people in Zhongjing woke up from their deep sleep because of the lightning bolt. They thought that something drastic had happened. The lightning bolt struck Yin Kalin's body. Once again, a blinding light burst out. After a minute, the light gradually faded away, and the result this time was indeed even more perfect than Song Zhao's. The ground of Zhongjing trembled slightly again. There were no accidents. It was a success. Yin Kalin had successfully broken through to the Grandmaster level. After 15 minutes, Yin Kalin opened her eyes. She touched her hand in a daze, and then felt her energy reserve. Then, she did something that Yang Dingtian could not imagine. She ran over and hugged Kuei-si tightly. Then she kissed him on the lips. This made Yang Dingtian very embarrassed. Please, you are already in your 50s or 60s. Kuei-si did not have any accidents after that. He had a perfect breakthrough. From then on, there were 3 more Grandmasters in the Council of Light. Duan Rian was a 9-star, level 9 Grandmaster. However, Yang Dingtian did not dare to force a breakthrough on her. This was because she relied on the evil spirit energy to reach this level of cultivation. Moreover, he had only been a 9-star, level 9 Grandmaster for a short time. Song Xiao and the rest had been there for a few years. Song Xiao and the other 2's energy reserves were already in place. They just lacked external forces. As for Duan Rian's energy reserve, it was likely that she had not accumulated enough energy. If he used external forces to force a breakthrough, it would only turn her into ashes. Wu Yuming stood at the top of the South Mansion Castle and looked at the shocking lightning dozens of miles away. Vulture stood beside her and said, That came from the North Mansion. What is Yang Dingtian doing? He is doing the most terrifying thing in the world. Wu Yuming said, He is creating a Grandmaster. What? Vulture said, He can create a Grandmaster too. Boom! At this moment, the ground of Zhongjing shook violently. A Grandmaster was born. That's right. From now on, the Sea of Hades and the Spirit Vulture Palace won't be the only ones who can create Grandmasters. There's also Yang Dingtian, Wu Yuming said. Although I don't want to admit it, this person is truly incredible. How is he compared to my husband? Vulture asked. Wu Yuming frowned and did not answer. It is meaningless because he can live for 2 more days. After 2 days he will definitely die. Will there be any accidents? Vulture asked. There will be no accidents. Wu Yuming said. What he has I have. What he doesn't have I have. My cultivation is 10 times or 20 times higher than his. The Council of Light seems to have been in a meeting for a long time. I wonder what decision they made. Vulture said. First of all, it must be Yang Dingtian who set the tone. He is not hopeful for this duel, so he will use the Demon Spirit Mist Cloak, Demon Spirit Black Armor, Universe Ring, and Protection Ring. He will use all means to save his life. Wu Yuming said. Then, they will discuss whether the Council of Light will withdraw from Zhongzhou or start the war directly after the defeat. It had to be said that Wu Yuming's ability to speculate was amazing. Then, what decision do you think they will make? Vulture asked. If it was in the past, I think they will withdraw from Zhongzhou, because this is the best for them. Wu Yuming said. But now I know Yang Dingtian, he will not do this. After the defeat, he will definitely choose to start the war. Even if he dies, he will fight to the end. It is impossible for him to win against us. Vulture said. He can't do anything against the Black Vulture Legion. Not to mention that we have a shocking number of martial grandmasters and 2 half-sages. There are many people in this world that cannot be described by reason, Wu Yuming said with a smile. I admire people like Yang Dingtian from the bottom of my heart. However, I still have to scold him. Idiot. Idiot without hope and future. Actually, it is not important what decision they make. What is important is that Yang Dingtian will definitely die. After the duel starts, he will not live for more than an instant. Using my foster father's words, he will not live for more than a second. Once Yang Dingtian dies, the Council of Light will automatically collapse. Qin Wancha will prostrate himself in front of me. Therefore, what is the meaning of their decision? Immediately, Vulture's face became complicated. Then he said with ridicule, actually Ling Wu and Yang Dingtian are similar people. They are both naive. It is just that Ling Wu is a little more stupid and ignorant. Girl, don't talk about her like that. Wu Yuming said indifferently. Moreover, it is best not to compare her with Yang Dingtian. Vulture's face twitched for a moment. Then he said with a smile. Husband, there are only 2 days left until the duel. What should we do in these 2 days? Should we increase the pressure on Zhongzhou State? Should we continue to attack the Council of Light? No, don't do anything, Wu Yuming said indifferently. As long as Yang Dingtian dies, we will reap everything. 2 days passed in a flash. The day of the duel had finally arrived. Chapter 710. The past 2 days were undoubtedly the quietest 2 days. However, they were also the most turbulent 2 days. During these 2 days, the North Mansion was completely quiet and deserted. On the other hand, Wu Yoming's South Mansion was as busy as a marketplace. Wave after wave of Central Continent's leaders entered the South Mansion to pay a visit to Wu Yuming. Even Ling Wu had become a rare commodity worth hoarding and had become a popular person in Central Continent. Some of the flattering Central Continent's leaders directly called her Lord Ling, while some shameless ones directly called her Madam. Ling Wu had never thought that she, a small boatman, would actually have such a day. Looking at the various vassals, and even the 9 sect masters of the Tiando League acting respectfully in front of her, a strange and absurd feeling welled up in Ling Wu's heart. Of course, there was also a trace of complexity. These Central Continent's leaders were resourceful, and had heard about the North Mansion's strategy on the second day. That was, Yang Dingtian had no chance of winning. He would only try his best to save his life in the duel, and then start a civil war, or even a direct war. On the other hand, Sect Master Wu Yuming had spread the news that Yang Dingtian would have no chance to escape, and would definitely die. Therefore, the leaders of the Central Continent's forces, who were still observing, could no longer sit still, and had to make a choice. Otherwise, after the duel ended and Yang Dingtian died, the Council of Light would fall apart, and it would be too late for them to sell themselves and seek refuge. Therefore, many Central Continent's leaders and Wu Yuming flocked to the South Mansion. Even some of the East Continent's leaders were ready to make a move. They didn't dare to come personally, but sent their leaders to pay a secret visit to Wu Yuming. At this moment, Zhu Hongyu of the Mystic Sky Sect, who had been silent for many days, made a public appearance and directly claimed to be the successor of the Mystic Sky Sect Master. She helped Wu Yuming receive some of the Central Continent's vassals. Of course, how did Yang Dingtian's North Mansion strategy leak out? Was it leaked by someone in the meeting? Of course, it was absolutely impossible. It was because of the relevant movement signs. After the North Mansion's meeting, there were related movements very quickly. Firstly, it was a strategic withdrawal. The Zhongzhou State Army, which was loyal to the Council of Light, had gradually abandoned the defense areas of some neutral forces and retreated to the North Zhongzhou State. The Central Continent Army, which had just been formed and was not yet completed, was also facing the most direct choice. The generals loyal to Yang Dingtian's Council of Light also led their troops into the Council of Light's absolute defense zone. That's right, the Council of Light was in the midst of a comprehensive strategic retreat. Previously, about 40% of the forces in Zhongzhou State had sided with Wu Yuming. The remaining 30% were on the fence, and the remaining 30% were loyal to the Council of Light. Now that the news of Yang Dingtian's death had spread, the situation had changed drastically. In the past 2 days, those neutral and drifting forces of Zhongzhou State had changed sides one after another, as if they were harvesting wheat. In just 2 days, the leaders of the forces in Zhongzhou State, who had sided with Wu Yuming, had occupied 70% of the forces and 70% of the territory in Zhongzhou State. As for the Zhongzhou State army, because it was fully established by the Council of Light, the situation was better. Only 50% of the army had changed sides, but only 30% of the army had followed the Council of Light to carry out a strategic retreat. The rest were completely neutral. In particular, the intelligence from the West Continent said that the army of the West Continent had boarded the ships and was about to enter Zhongzhou State. And the thousands of warships of the Southwest Fleet had sailed off the vicinity of the Netherworld Sea. This sign further proved the previous rumor. Yang Dingtian was bound to be defeated. He was making arrangements after his defeat. As a result, the forces that were still on the fence, and even the forces that were originally loyal to Yang Dingtian, had changed sides in an instant. In a few hours, they would go to the Zhongjing main hall. Yang Dingtian, and the leader of the Council of Light, stood in front of a huge sand table of Zhongzhou State. Among them, the white flag represented the Council of Light of the North Mansion. The black flag represented Wu Yuming of the South Mansion. In the past 2 days, black flags had been constantly inserted on this huge sand table. At this time, the duel was about to begin, and the defection should be over for the time being. Therefore, the flags on the sand table should represent the current situation. Yang Dingtian suddenly realized that the Council of Light had not only lost the South Zhongzhou State, but also completely lost the Great Zhongzhou State. The Great Zhongzhou State accounted for more than half of the forces, population, and territory of the entire Zhongzhou State. And now, the entire Great Zhongzhou State was almost covered in black flags. The number of white flags could be counted on one hand. Even Zhongjing had been divided into 2 halves. The north was white, and the south was black. There were nearly 500 flags in the entire Great Zhongzhou State, representing different cities, different armies, and different territories. As for the white flags, there were only a few dozen of them left. These flags represented the forces and armies that were loyal to the Radiant Congress. However, they were completely surrounded by the black flags. And the Council of Light's base in Zhongzhou, which was the absolute subordinate force of the Xiantian sect, was basically in the North Zhongzhou State. The forces, area, and population of the North Zhongzhou State accounted for about 1/5 of the entire Zhongzhou State. But even in the Council of Light's base in the North Zhongzhou State, there were more than a dozen black flags. This meant that Wu Yuming had even inserted her hands into the Council of Light's absolute territory. Yang Dingtian looked at the flags on the sand table and said, "This situation is very unfavorable. It's easy for us to fall into a passive position and be beaten up. How about this? Once I lose the duel, we will completely abandon Zhongjing, bring the troops loyal to us, and evacuate to the North Zhongzhou State. Then, we will remove the black flags that Wu Yuming inserted into the North Zhongzhou State in the shortest time possible to ensure an absolutely pure and loyal North Zhongzhou State. Then, with the West and East continents behind us, our military strength will be hoarded in the North Zhongzhou State, and we will have a decisive battle with Wu Yuming." Everyone nodded in agreement. That's right. Rather than a plate of loose sand, it was better to completely condense into a fist. Moreover, as long as the Black Vulture Corps was dealt with, the Council of Light Corps could completely dominate the world, and the armies of the Zhongzhou State forces would be like pigs and pottery dogs. As for giving up Zhongjing, it would be a huge loss in reputation. But once Yang Dingtian was defeated, the loss in terms of reputation would be at the extreme. Looking at the dense mass of black flags on the sand table, it was once snow-white more than half a year ago. The most glorious time was when Zhongzhou State was forced to sign the Defense Zone Agreement, and when the 7 refined lane was destroyed. At that time, Wu Yuming was completely alone, and the entire Zhongzhou State was under the Council of Light's command. In the end, These fence-sitters all changed sides after a night of wind, and before it really rained. It seemed that the territory that was not truly conquered was really unreliable. It was no wonder that back then, when Chairman Jiang unified the entire China in name, half of the provinces did not listen to him. On the other hand, Tiji was much more clear-headed and firmly believed that territory could only be seized through the barrel of a gun, not through words or money. As expected, the territory he conquered through the barrel of a gun was much more reliable. Yang Dingtian asked, "How many troops do we have in Zhongjing right now?" 300,000. Qin Wancho said, "The most elite Devil Dragon Corps has 5,000, and the Devil Vulture Corps has 2,000. The Black Vulture Corps is in the South Zhongzhou state. They haven't moved, right?" Yang Dingtian asked. "They haven't moved." Qin Wancho said, "It seems that Wu Yuming is very confident in killing you." Yang Dingtian smiled, and then walked into the secret room. He changed into Wu Maji's Devil Spirit Mist Cloak and Devil Spirit Black Armor, and put on the Ring of Protection. Wu Maji did not smile, nor was she sad. She just quietly helped Yang Dingtian tidy up his clothes. After Yang Dingtian finished, she kissed Yang Dingtian and said, "Hubby, the ugly baby can say daddy." Yang Dingtian smiled and said, "You're lying, right? He's only 8 months old. He's very smart like me, but his personality is like yours." Wu Maji said, "Our daughter is the opposite. She's not so smart like you, but her personality is like mine. She's cold on the outside and fiery on the inside." "Oh my God. I don't know which bastard young man will benefit in the future." Yang Dingtian said, "Okay, I'm leaving." "Okay, I'll wait for you." "I won't go," Wu Maji said. "Okay." Yang Dingtian kissed her cheek gently, and then turned to leave. After leaving the North Mansion Castle, Yang Dingtian rode a white steed and galloped towards the central capital main hall, under the protection of numerous leaders of the Radiant Parliament. At this time, all the people in Zhongjing closed their doors and stood behind the windows, looking at Yang Dingtian with complicated eyes. Yes, it was complicated eyes. They were not very supportive of Yang Dingtian, because his reputation was not very good. Most of the credit went to the Chaos Times. But they definitely did not hate Yang Dingtian. If they had to choose between Wu Yuming and Yang Dingtian, they would rather choose Yang Dingtian, because Wu Yuming was too illusory, making them feel that it was unreal. But in the chaotic world, the will of ordinary people had no meaning. Not to mention that it could not decide anything. No one was even willing to listen. The northern half of Zhongjing was the sphere of influence of the Council of Light. There was not a single person on the wide street, only Yang Dingtian's team. On both sides of the street, densely packed troops stood there like nails. They were wearing silver armor and white tassels on their heads. Some people said that it was inauspicious, as if they were wearing mourning clothes for Yang Dingtian. So they suggested to change it to red. But Yang Dingtian made the decision. It was white, and it had to be distinct from Wu Yuming. And the main hall of the Tiando League was in the center of Zhongjing, which spanned across the central axis of the entire world. The entire central continent was oppressive and solemn, as if one would be struck by lightning if they said a word loudly. All the soldiers stared at Yang Dingtian's back. Of course, they knew the decision of the Council of Light. It was to make arrangements for the defeat of the duel, and then prepare for the war. Although their leader might be defeated, it did not affect their admiration in their hearts. A person who was prepared to lose before the duel was not cowardly, but another kind of courage. Yang Dingtian's team did not ride fast, but half an hour later, they arrived at the huge Zhongjing Square. At this time, the Zhongjing Square was also clearly divided. In the north, there was a dense army of 100,000, all of them wearing silver armor. Leading them were 5,000 Demon Dragon Cavalry, and 2,000 Demon Vulture Legion, all of them wearing silver armor. In the south, there was also a dense army of 100,000, all of them wearing black armor, led by thousands of Black Vulture Legion. Of course, these thousands of Black Vulture Legion did not come from the South Central Continent. They had entered Zhongjing early, and were directly under the command of the South Mansion. The black and white legions of both sides had cold faces, and their blood was boiling. As long as the order was given, the war would break out in the Zhongjing Square. The 100,000 troops of both sides would fight fiercely. Yang Dingtian's first step into the square. All the silver cavalry dismounted, and the 100,000 troops all knelt down on one knee and shouted in unison, "Welcome sect leader Yang Dingtian. Long live the sect leader." That's right, they shouted long live the sect leader. Not that the sect leader would win. For Yang Dingtian's imminent defeat in the duel, these 100,000 troops were all mentally prepared. But there were regrets, but they were definitely not disappointed. They were even dismissive of Wu Yoming's imminent victory. Moreover, the Devil Dragon Legion and Devil Vulture Legion had already made up their minds. Once Yang Dingtian died in battle, they would not care about any military orders. They would pull out their huge swords and charge towards the Black Army. They would even ignore Song Chunhua and Kuei Si's orders. Once Yang Dingtian died in battle, the Devil Dragon Legion and Devil Vulture Legion would all die with him, because they were the proudest army in the world. If they lost their souls, they would rather die. As if they had calculated the time, when Yang Dingtian entered the square, Wu Yuming also entered the square. Today, he was wearing a black robe and riding a black horse for the first time. Behind Yang Dingtian, there were only a few dozen horses, which represented Yang Dingtian's supporters. And behind Wu Yuming, there were a few hundred horses, which also represented Wu Yoming's supporters. More than 70% of the leaders of the Central Continent chose to follow behind Wu Yuming. Everyone was riding on black warhorses and wearing black armor and long robes. Even Ling Wu and Vulture were wearing black dresses. Ling Wu was riding on the right side of Wu Yuming. Perhaps this was the most glorious and most magnificent moment in her life. She, a woman who ran ships, actually stood at the center of the entire world, and was the center of attention. From the moment Wu Yuming stepped into the square, the 100,000 Black Army in the south knelt down neatly and shouted in unison, "Welcome sect leader Wu Yuming. Long live sect leader." Then, Wu Yuming led the few hundred leaders of the forces, including Vulture Palace's Palace Master Ling Chuzi and Netherworld Sea's Tai Muley, to follow behind him. Under the gaze of the 100,000 army, they passed through the entire South Square and entered the central capital main hall through the South Gate. And Yang Dingtian, leading less than 30 people, passed through the entire North Square and entered the main hall through the North Gate. After the two groups of people entered the main hall, the people of Wu Yoming's force sat in the seats on the south side. The people of Yang Dingtian's force sat in the seats on the north side. The number of white people on Yang Dingtian's side was less than 1/10 of the opponents. They were extremely weak, just like how Yang Dingtian's cultivation was less than 1/10 of Wu Yoming's. After everyone was seated, Yang Dingtian and Wu Yuming dismounted from their horses and slowly walked into the center of the duel arena. The duel that attracted the attention of the world had officially begun. Chapter 7:11. At the center of the hall, Yang Dingtian and Wu Yuming stood opposite each other, with a distance of several tens of meters between them. The outcome seemed to have already been decided. Many people had already voted with their feet. There were merely several tens of people standing on Yang Dingtian's side, and all of them were dressed in white. There were several hundreds of people standing on Wu Yoming's side, and all of them were dressed in black. However, regardless of whether they were dressed in white or black, all of them firmly believed that Yang Dingtian would definitely lose this battle. It was just that the people dressed in black firmly believed that Yang Dingtian would definitely die. As for the people dressed in white, they firmly believed that Yang Dingtian would be able to survive. Ling Wu wasn't willing for Yang Dingtian to die just like this. Therefore, she had once taken the initiative to look for Yang Dingtian to have a talk with him. She wanted Yang Dingtian to submit to Wu Yuming and unite with her to fight against the evil ways. However, she also knew in her heart that the overall situation was more important than her personal feelings. She sat at the most prominent position at the front, directly beside Vulture. She looked at the mere several tens of people opposite her, and then looked at the several hundreds of people behind her. Of course, there were still several tens of neutral people in between the black and white seats. Yang Dingtian, you should be able to see clearly that there are only several tens of people supporting you. As for those who support sect master Wu Yuming, there are several hundreds of people. You can also know what it means to have a just cause enjoys abundant support, and what it means to have an unjust cause enjoys little support. Ling Wu thought to herself, if a person wants to be saved, then he must save himself. Perhaps this is already the final moment for you to submit, and also the final moment for you to survive. After that, Ling Wu looked at Wu Yuming with anticipation. She hoped that Wu Yuming would be able to give Yang Dingtian a chance at the final moment. However, Wu Yuming didn't do that. She just stood there quietly. The two of them faced each other quietly without moving at all. The people from the Council of Light behind Yang Dingtian had solemn expressions on their faces. Their emotions were suppressed, and they were practically unable to breathe. They were only worried about one thing. Would Yang Dingtian be able to survive? They no longer held any hope of winning or losing. As long as Yang Dingtian could survive, there was still hope. As for the people standing behind Wu Yuming, although their expressions were complicated, they seemed somewhat relaxed. It was just that Nye didn't dare to joke around. However, there was no pressure in his heart at all, because Wu Yuming had already won and Yang Dingtian was dead meat. The outcome had already been decided. All that was waiting was for him to happen. Even Tai Muley and Mutsun didn't care about the duel at all. Instead, they were lazily taking a nap. Even Elder Mutsun kept glancing at Wuxia, who was in the Council of Light. Sometimes he would nod his head in greeting, and sometimes he would greet him with a smile. This caused Wuxia to feel extremely awkward. He didn't know how to respond. He wanted to frown coldly, but he was afraid that he would cut off his escape route. He wanted to greet them with a smile, but he was suppressed by the solemn atmosphere. Outside the main hall, the 100,000 soldiers loyal to Yang Dingtian stood quietly in the north. The army of 100,000 loyal to Wu Yuming stood quietly in the south, clad in black armor. The battle between the two sides was about to break out. Looking at the entire Zhongjing, the hundreds of thousands of Council of Light's Silver Legion in the north and Wu Yuming's Black Legion in the south were facing each other coldly. Looking at the entire Zhongzhou, the hundreds of thousands of Council of Light's legions were leaving their respective territories and retreating to the northern Zhongzhou. As for the Zhongzhou forces that had just switched sides, there were millions of soldiers heading north and occupying the territories that the Council of Light had retreated to. In the southern Zhongzhou, the hundreds of thousands of Black Vulture's legions once again covered the sky and the sun. As long as they were given the order, they would rush into Zhongzhou and Zhongjing at full speed. In the East Continent, a storm was brewing, and it was secretly being torn apart. In the Yin-Yang sect, many people were put under house arrest, but they were imprisoned. As long as Yang Dingtian was defeated, all the captives would be executed, or their martial arts would be crippled. This included Lung Ao. Although he only viewed Yang Dingtian as an enemy, he might not have any dealings with the evil ways. However, at this time, Dongfang Minmi had already decided that he would rather kill the wrong person than let him go. Although he and Lung Qingshan were as close as brothers, his body still came from Lung Qingshan. However, he believed that if Lung Qingshan was still alive, he would kill Lung Ao personally instead of crippling his martial arts, if he saw that he did not care about the big picture. In the Vulture Palace, Walingzi, who rarely wore a brocade robe, stood on the mountain peak and looked in the direction of Zhongjing. He was also waiting for the news of Yang Dingtian's death. It had been many years since he wanted someone to die so badly. In the Dongli grassland, only Hai Xian and Dongli were in the main hall of the Snakemen Empire. Prime Minister, do you think I want Yang Dingtian to live or Yang Dingtian to die? Hai Xian asked faintly. You want Yang Dingtian to live, Dongli said, because he is the only one who can make the Snakemen go into estrus. Dongli said cunningly. He did not mean that only Yang Dingtian could make the Snakemen go into estrus. Instead, he meant that only Yang Dingtian had the ability to make the Snakemen go into estrus. Yes, I want Yang Dingtian to live, Hai Xian continued. So do you think I want him to win or lose? Dongli said. You want him to lose because a powerful Yang Dingtian, who can control the world, is not in your interest. These two questions are not difficult. Hai Xian smiled. Then, if there are only two results, one is that Yang Dingtian dies, and the other is that Yang Dingtian wins. Which one do you think I will choose? Dongli was stunned. This was a difficult choice. Hai Xian did not want Yang Dingtian to die, because Yang Dingtian could make the snake men go into estrus. However, Hai Xian did not want Yang Dingtian to win, because it was not in the interest of the snake men empire. Your subject does not know, Dongli said. I do not want Yang Dingtian to win, Queen Hai Xian said. Dongli trembled, and his heart was filled with ecstasy. Queen Hai Xian did not say it directly, but her attitude was clear. She would rather Yang Dingtian die than let Yang Dingtian win. I do want the Snakeman Empire to evolve into the Naga Empire, but first, I cannot lose the Snakeman Empire. Hai Xian said slowly. Once Yang Dingtian becomes the ruler of the primal chaos world, and becomes powerful to a certain extent, the Snakeman Empire will cease to exist. Then, Queen Hai Xian smiled at Dongli and said, Wu Yuming asked you for the darkness crystal many times, but you were afraid that he would be too powerful, so you did not give it to him, right? Dongli was shocked, then lowered his head and said, Yes, Your Majesty. You are as wise as the Queen. I gave it to him. Queen Hai Xian said indifferently. I gave him a big darkness crystal that the Snakeman Empire refined for half a year. Wu Maji came to me to ask for it, to poison Wu Yuming. I made the best of it, and gave this darkness crystal to Wu Yuming. Therefore, Wu Yuming should be very shocking now. He might really surpass you in the future. Dongli trembled slightly and said, Everything is the Queen's will. In Cloud Sky City, all the students and disciples stopped cultivating, and sat in the square of Cloud Sky City. They closed their eyes and prayed for Yang Dingtian. In the valley, under the guidance of the mistress, all of Yang Dingtian's wives and children sat quietly in the hall, and prayed for Yang Dingtian. Yang Li, who loved to cause trouble, also seemed to be affected. She sat motionless. Even Qin Mengli, who had an important position in Zhongjing, returned to the valley and prayed with everyone. All the citizens of Cloud Sky City stopped working, and walked out of their houses. They sat on the road outside and prayed for Yang Dingtian. To everyone in Cloud Sky City, Yang Dingtian was their sky and their land. Once Yang Dingtian died, all their happy lives and everything they had now would go down the drain. Everything would be destroyed. In the Southwest Sea, the entire Southwest Fleet, which consisted of thousands of ships, surrounded the Netherworld Sea. The ancient giant beast Xiao Xiao was entrenched in the Netherworld Sea. All the cannons of the ships were loaded with shells. All the torpedoes of the submarines were in their launch tubes. No one needed to give orders. As long as the armed forces of the Netherworld Sea appeared on the surface of the sea, they would be mercilessly destroyed. In the sea outside Iron Furnace City, close to 2 million troops had boarded the ships. Thousands of ships of various types were ready to set off. There was no need for a ceremony. They just gave the order. They covered the sky and the sun, and headed toward the North Middle Continent. At this moment, all the soldiers came out of their cabins and stood on the deck. They looked in the direction of Zhongjing, and prayed for Yang Dingtian. They were also waiting for the final news. At this moment, the entire chaos world, which spanned hundreds of thousands of miles, had tens of millions of troops, and billions of people, were all waiting with bated breath for the final result. Was Yang Dingtian alive or dead? Unlike the big shots, the people in the low-level army were filled with fantasies. They did not know that Yang Dingtian's cultivation was not even 1/10 of Wu Yoming's. They only hoped for a miracle to happen, no matter how remote, or even ridiculous this miracle was. At this moment, in the dueling arena of Zhongjing Main Hall, the two people who had gathered the attention of billions of people in the entire chaotic world were still quietly facing each other. A quarter of an hour had elapsed since they had stood motionless. Although no one shouted for the duel to begin, the duel had already begun. Of course, they were not playing a battle of wills. Although they were in the chaotic world, they were not that mysterious. The reason why they did not move was because Yang Dingtian was waiting for Wu Yuming to make a move. Wu Yuming was also waiting for Yang Dingtian to make a move. In the end, neither of them made the first move. They were in a stalemate. Okay, Wu Yuming said with a smile. Junior brother Yang, I will personally write an epitaph for you. The people of the chaotic world will not forget you, and the history of the chaotic world will not forget you. Yang Dingtian smiled and did not answer. I know, you are wearing your woman's demon spirit mist robe. You are also wearing her demon spirit black armor. You also have the universe ring and the guardian ring. You know you will lose today's battle, so you are doing your best to save your life. Wu Yuming sighed and said, but I'm sorry you can't live. Today you will die. Boom! Wu Yuming suddenly pulled out her sword and slashed out. In an instant, the entire Zhongjing main hall was suddenly shrouded in darkness. The sky of the entire square suddenly turned dark. The ground of the entire Zhongjing was trembling. All the mounts in the Zhongjing square instantly knelt on the ground. A destructive power suddenly burst out from Wu Yuming's body and attacked Yang Dingtian. The unparalleled darkness mystic flame was mixed with other mystic flames, as well as all of Wu Yuming's mystic qi energy. 9 stars and 9 grades. The energy that was infinitely close to the half-saint's energy had all gathered together and blasted towards Yang Dingtian. He not only wanted Yang Dingtian to die, but also wanted to destroy him and make him disappear from the human world. This destructive power instantly flew out and hit Yang Dingtian. Because Yang Dingtian could not move at all, even with the demon spirit mist robe. He could only watch helplessly as he was struck by this shocking force. Bang! Then, Yang Dingtian's entire body was instantly swallowed by this destructive power. The sky of Zhongjing changed completely. The Zhongjing main hall was shaking. Dark clouds were rolling like thunder. A bolt from the blue, as if the end of the world had come. Everyone in the main hall was horrified. He looked on helplessly as Yang Dingtian was completely engulfed by this world-destroying energy. It turned out that there were no miracles. It turned out that Yang Dingtian was definitely going to die. Everyone in the Council of Light felt as if they were struck by lightning. Their hearts were dead. The people sitting behind Wu Yuming were shocked. Then they were completely relieved. Good. It was good that Yang Dingtian was dead. No one would punish them. They were completely relieved. No one would force them to fight to the death with the evil Tao. It was good that Yang Dingtian was dead. Ling Wu's heart suddenly felt empty. It was as if someone had completely cut out her heart. She told herself with trembling lips. He was seeking his own death. It was his ambition that caused him to die today. His death was for the overall situation of the chaotic world, for the future of the chaotic world. However, all of a sudden, suddenly, the destructive power that surrounded and destroyed Yang Dingtian's figure disappeared, without a trace in an instant. All of the terrifying power suddenly drilled into Yang Dingtian's body. Yang Dingtian was still unscathed as he stood in the middle of the arena. It was just that his entire body seemed to be burning with raging flames. Moreover, this raging flame was of a strange color. It was hard to tell what color it was. In short, his entire body was like a ball of burning fire. Then he opened his eyes. His eyes shot out a terrifying light that instantly burned people's hearts. He suddenly pulled out his sword and slashed toward Wu Yuming. Whoosh! Suddenly, the destructive power that was swallowed by his body, together with a mysterious dark green flame in his body, turned into a terrifying dragon in an instant. It whistled toward Wu Yuming with incomparable ferocity. Wu Yuming was horrified when she felt an incomparably familiar, yet incomparably terrifying power. No. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. How could he have the dark profound fire? No, this is not the dark profound fire. This is a more terrifying supreme power. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Looking at this terrifying energy, as if the demon abyss was attacking her, Wu Yuming let go of all her unwillingness. Her survival instinct instantly enveloped her entire body. Then, she used all her strength to perform the demon spirit flash technique and fled frantically. In an instant, she flew dozens of miles into the air. However, that terrifying dragon instantly swelled hundreds of times, directly dozens of miles long. Like a ghost, it instantly appeared behind her. Then this black shadow dragon suddenly drilled into her body. Ah! 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 Wu Yuming, who was in the air, let out an earth-shattering shriek of agony. It was an earth-shattering shriek. The dark clouds in the sky of the entire Zhongjing suddenly struck with shocking lightning. The ground of the entire Zhongjing was fiercely torn apart piece by piece. The wind whistled, shaking the sky and the earth. It was as if the whole sky was about to crash down and crush the entire Zhongjing. Wu Yoming's entire body emitted a terrifying black light. Her skin was torn apart inch by inch. Fresh blood splattered in the air. Wu Yoming's entire body was torn apart and deformed. She, who was peerlessly handsome, instantly looked like a ferocious ghost. In the sky above Zhongjing, she let out a mournful roar. Ah! Whoosh 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 whoosh. That giant dragon fiercely penetrated Wu Yoming's body. Finally, it fiercely dragged out a black flame in Wu Yoming's body, and then swallowed it alive. That's right. This dragon dragged Wu Yoming's dark profound fire out of her sea of qi, and swallowed it alive. Then it condensed into a green flame in the air. Then, this flame completely disappeared in the air. It slowly appeared in the depths of Yang Dingtian's sea of qi, quietly burning, and then slowly sank into the depths of the sea of qi. Wu Yoming's body, like a straw, was thrown hundreds of miles away and disappeared. This duel that determined the fate of the world was officially over. From the real beginning to the complete end, it was less than a minute. And the real blow that determined the fate of the world was less than a second. Therefore, it could be called an instant kill. Chapter 7:12. Yang Dingtian 1. The one who was most surprised and astonished by this matter was Yang Dingtian himself. He really didn't expect to win, or else he wouldn't have made so many preparations. Not only was he prepared to lose, he was also mentally prepared to die. In fact, the demonic spirit fog coat and demonic spirit black armor couldn't save his life, not to mention the guardian ring and cosmos ring. When Wu Yuming made her move, Yang Dingtian's entire body was confined, and he couldn't move at all. Then was Yang Dingtian not mentally prepared for this result at all? No, Yang Dingtian was mentally prepared, and he had thought about it for a long time. He even subconsciously treated him as the only miracle that could happen. If there was anyone in this world who had predicted this result, it would be Yang Dingtian himself. Yang Dingtian wasn't very smart, and his IQ wasn't high, but he was very focused. In this duel, he saw it more clearly than anyone else. Therefore, he wasn't completely unprepared for this miracle to happen, and he even had a certain theoretical idea. But he had always said that one shouldn't expect a miracle to happen. He had also always said that one should prepare for the worst and welcome the best result. Therefore, he had set up a series of strategies for the aftermath of defeat, including the mobilization of millions of troops and the withdrawal of thousands of miles of territory. Then was the result of this duel an accident? Was it a coincidence? No, it was definitely not a coincidence. It was inevitable. It was the inevitability of fate. Then, how did Yang Dingtian win? It was very, very simple. The whole process of defeating Wu Yuming was almost the same as the process of Yang Dingtian, consuming the darkness crystal to awaken the darkness mystic flame in the world of ice and snow. Yang Dingtian's darkness mystic flame had swallowed an astronomical amount of deep-sea mystic poison, and because the energy was too strong, the darkness mystic flame couldn't complete the digestion process with Yang Dingtian's energy sea. It would only crush Yang Dingtian to pieces. Then what should he do? The darkness profound flame sank into the deep space of Yang Dingtian's energy sea, away from the energy field of his energy sea. Then, it entered a deep slumber, and used the slowest speed to digest it while waiting for Yang Dingtian to become stronger. However, Yang Dingtian had consumed the darkness crystal. All of a sudden, the slumbering black-green flame was awakened. Why was it awakened? This was because the mystic flame and the dark crystal had an extremely strong suction force. It was a suction force, not an attraction force. Attraction was subjective, but suction or gravity was objective and would definitely happen. What should he do after awakening the black-green mystical fire? Yang Dingtian's body simply could not withstand it. There was no other way. The black-green mystic flame could only completely release its energy into the world of ice and snow. As a result, hundreds of miles of ice and snow melted and turned into boiling water. Then it was completely frozen. With this, young Dingtian finally managed to consume all the energy that he couldn't endure. That's right, it was exhausted, or rather wasted. Young Dingtian could not absorb it, and it was awakened by the black-green mystic flame. This flame had no choice but to save its master. As for the mystic flame that was mixed with the darkness crystal and deep-sea mystic poison, it was incomplete because it lacked something. As a result, it looked as if it had no power. However, it had another instinct, and that was to eat. In other words, it was swallowing energy. However, ever since it swallowed the deep-sea mystic poison, it did not swallow all kinds of energy. Currently, it only swallowed the deep-sea mystic poison and the darkness crystal. As for what other energy it swallowed, young Dingtian did not know for the time being. In other words, this thing basically swallowed the darkness crystal crazily when it saw it. Then, Wu Yuming coincidentally had the darkness mystic flame. Wasn't this bad luck? Of course, this was fate as well. Many years ago, young Lord Wu Yuming accidentally created the darkness mystic flame from the darkness crystal and mystic flame. How excited and proud was that? Moreover, it had been so many years and he had never used it before. However, in order to kill young Dingtian, he had to use it, right? Why did he have to use it? Because young Dingtian had the demon spirit black armor, the Qiankuan ring, and the guardian ring. It was not a problem to win if he attacked with a plop. It was easy to beat young Dingtian until he fled. However, it was not easy to kill young Dingtian. And our young lord Wu Yuming was a respectable person. He had to be killed instantly. Moreover, it just so happened that young Dingtian's woman, Wu Maji, gave him such a huge darkness crystal as a gift. It was a huge surprise. His darkness mystic flame had increased by so many levels. In fact, with Wu Yuming's cultivation, he was almost unable to devour the dark crystal. Therefore, young Lord Wu Yuming felt that the heavens wanted him to kill young Dingtian instantly. Therefore, if he wanted to kill young Dingtian instantly, he had to use the darkness mystic flame. If he used the darkness mystic flame, he would definitely kill young Dingtian instantly. Then, young Lord Wu Yuming used the darkness mystic flame. To be honest, the energy of his darkness mystic flame was even stronger than that of young Dingtian's, because his darkness crystal was 10 times more powerful than that of young Dingtian's. Not only did he use the darkness mystic flame, but he also used other mystic flames and other mystic skills. He used all of them at once. Young Lord Wu Yuming injected almost all of his mystic qi into it. Not only did he want to kill young Dingtian instantly, he also wanted to turn him into ashes. His attack was indeed powerful. Instantly, the sky changed drastically as though it was the end of the world. Moreover, even if young Dingtian had the demon spirit mist cloak, he could not move at all. Demon spirit black armor, guardian ring, universe ring, they were all useless against the darkness mystic flame. Young Dingtian could not resist at all, and was about to be turned into ashes. However, the black-green mystic flame in his vital energy reserve was instantly excited. Instantly, a fatal suction force was created between it and Wu Yuming's darkness mystic flame. Originally, Wu Yuming's darkness mystic flame was stronger. After all, she had swallowed a few mystic flames and a huge darkness crystal. However, young Dingtian's darkness mystic flame had already evolved. Not only had it swallowed the darkness crystal, it had also swallowed the deep-sea mystic poison. Although the energy was small, it was of a high level. Just like a snake, although it was small in size and strength, it could still swallow a dog alive. Therefore, the black-green mystic flame suddenly swallowed Wu Yuming's darkness mystic flame and any other energy. However, the level of young Dingtian's vital energy reserve was still too low. It could not withstand this energy. Therefore, just like in the world of ice and snow, in order to save its master, the black-green mystic flame could only spit out all this energy. It would not be good to spit it out anywhere else. The entire central capital main hall would probably be smashed into pieces. Therefore, it spat on Wu Yuming's body. Moreover, It completely regarded the darkness mystic flame as its life. It also swallowed the darkness mystic flame in Wu Yoming's vital energy reserve completely. Wu Yuming had no choice but to obey. However, the black-green mystic flame's energy level was higher. Therefore, Wu Yuming was beaten miserably by this huge energy. The darkness mystic flame was also swallowed alive. Of course, he was also very strong. After being attacked by such a powerful energy, he actually did not get smashed into pieces. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's seemingly awe-inspiring slash was actually just the black-green mystic flame, spitting out the excess energy for its former master. After it spat on Wu Yoming's body, it swallowed all the darkness mystic flame. However, there was another problem. The energy of Wu Yoming's darkness mystic flame was extremely huge. Yang Dingtian's vital energy reserve could not withstand it. Therefore, it could only sink into the deep space of the vital energy reserve helplessly and lay dormant. Just like that, Yang Dingtian killed Wu Yuming instantly. Although it was a shocking miracle, it was definitely not an accident or a coincidence. It was inevitable. Even if it happened 10 times, 100 times, the result would still be the same. This result was already destined when Wu Maji borrowed the darkness crystal from Hai Exine. When Hai Exine gave the darkness crystal to Wu Maji out of selfishness. Therefore, Wu Maji did not do anything wrong out of kindness. Her actions directly led to Wu Yoming's great defeat. It was just that the process was a little scary. Then, how confident was Yang Dingtian about this result? How confident was he that he could kill Wu Yuming instantly? Subconsciously, in the depths of his heart, when he awakened the darkness mystic flame, he felt that it was 80% or even more. Of course, this was his subconscious. However, his rationality felt that this possibility was less than 10%. Because he did not dare to hope for a miracle. Nor could he hope for a miracle. More importantly, he felt that this kind of conjecture, this kind of wisdom, could only be confirmed by someone with a very high IQ. He did not have much confidence in his own IQ. Therefore, although he had a feeling about this result, he did not dare to imagine it at all. This was like when a person was thinking of the most perfect thing in his mind. He did not expect it to happen. However, when it really happened, he became the most surprised person. If Yang Dingtian still had a little bit of fantasy about this result, then, to everyone in the main hall, it was completely like a bolt out of the blue. This, how is this possible? Is this world crazy? Or are my eyes playing tricks on me? Or am I dreaming? How is this possible? Even if it was 100 times, 1,000 times, this kind of thing would not happen. Even the people from the Council of Light felt as if their hearts were about to explode. They had never thought of winning. They only thought that their sect master could survive. They even thought that their sect master would definitely die this time. Then, not only did Yang Dingtian win, it was an absolute instant kill. This was too crazy. Because the surprise was so great, that the people from the Council of Light felt that their brains short-circuited. They could not react at all for a while. And they could not even show their surprised expressions. And the people standing on Wu Yoming's side were stunned for a full quarter of an hour. Is this a dream? Oh, this is not a dream. God, this is not a dream. Yang Dingtian won. Wu Yuming was instantly killed. And we have actually turned to Wu Yuming. What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? Was he dead for sure? We must be doomed. Then is it too late to sell ourselves to Yang Dingtian now? Turn to him now. Is it too late? Originally, these leaders of Zhengzhou state should immediately change their faces at this time. Go to Yang Dingtian, kneel or cry. In short, they must beg for Yang Dingtian's forgiveness, so that they could have a chance to be human again. However, things changed so much that they had no chance to react at all. Therefore, after they regained their consciousness, they still sat there in a daze. And at this time, after Vulture was completely stunned and turned into wood, her whole body was ice-cold, as if she had fallen into a bottomless abyss. Then, her heart was filled with endless resentment. Why? Why? She had just abandoned some precious moral character, and pinned all her hopes on Wu Yuming. When she was at the peak of her glory, he actually kicked her to hell with a single kick. This world was too unfair, too unfair. As for Ling Wu, the moment Wu Yuming was defeated, her body lost all its reactions. Was it heartbroken? No, when she thought that Yang Dingtian had died, it was a heart-wrenching pain. And when Wu Yuming was defeated, it was as if she had been struck by a huge thunderbolt. Her whole person seemed to have broken down in an instant, and then she completely lost all her reactions. If it was said that Yang Dingtian had caused her emotions to throb, then Wu Yuming was her ideals, will, and all her hopes. Because in the entire world, only Wu Yuming was willing to acknowledge Ling Wu's value. In the eyes of everyone else, Ling Wu was worthless. Only Wu Yuming acknowledged and praised her. It could be said that losing Wu Yuming was equivalent to losing everything. Therefore, when Wu Yuming was defeated and completely disappeared, Zhang Xian's eyes lit up. How did Ling Wu feel? It was like a person who had lost all his career in an instant. His stocks had fallen to the bottom, and he had gone bankrupt. He was at the end of his rope. So much so that his own ideals had been completely destroyed. In this world, there were very few people who would jump off a building due to heartbreak. However, there were many people who would jump off a building due to bankruptcy. Every time there was a stock market disaster, there would be waves of people who would jump off a building to commit suicide. The ones who were the most shocked were Tai Muley and Mutsun from the Sea of Netherworld. However, at the same time, they were also the first to regain their senses. In an instant, the gaze that Tai Muley used to look at Yang Dingtian became incomparably strange, incomparably dangerous, and not necessarily fearful. Yang Dingtian only stayed for 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, he directly disappeared from the main hall. In the blink of an eye, he had flashed dozens of miles and hundreds of miles away. Very soon, Tai Muley was so shocked that she wanted to chase after him. This was because she knew what Yang Dingtian wanted to do. Yang Dingtian wanted to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. He wanted to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to slaughter Wu Yuming. However, Tai Muley would definitely not be able to chase after him. This was because Yang Dingtian had the demonic spirit fog cloak. After Yang Dingtian chased after him, the second person to chase after him was Ling Wu. At this moment, Yang Dingtian was already hundreds of miles away. Wearing the demonic spirit fog cloak, he frantically searched every corner to find Wu Yuming. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to completely kill him. Chapter 713. After searching for a long time, Yang Dingtian, wearing the demon spirit mist cloak, almost searched the entire middle continent, but he did not see Wu Yuming. He seemed to have disappeared from this world. The masters of the Netherworld Sea and the Vulture Palace were still in the South Mansion. In addition, the Black Vulture Army of the South Middle Continent did not withdraw, but was still stationed in the South Middle Continent. Even the leaders of the Middle Continent, who had previously turned to Wu Yuming, had completely become cowards. They stopped all actions of occupying territories in the north, but they did not come to Yang Dingtian's North Mansion to sell themselves to him. In short, the entire upper level of the Middle Continent seemed to be in a strange silence. Of course, this did not mean that these forces of the Middle Continent were going to fight against Yang Dingtian. Of course not. They were scared out of their wits. They were praying that Yang Dingtian would not find trouble with them. How could they dare to fight against Yang Dingtian? They might want to come to the North Mansion to pay respects to Yang Dingtian again, and choose a new team. However, after all, some of them had just changed their allegiance 2 or 3 days ago. And most importantly, if they went to Yang Dingtian at this time to admit their mistakes and beg for mercy, they would definitely pay a huge price. Maybe they would lose their army and their territory. Although Wu Yuming was not there, at least the Netherworld Sea and the Vulture Palace were in front of them now, weren't they? They felt that before the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea were dealt with, Yang Dingtian would not do anything to them. Moreover, the most important thing was that Wu Yuming's whereabouts were unknown. Therefore, the leaders of the Middle Continent were cowards for the time being. They did not fight, nor did they beg for mercy. They were waiting for Yang Dingtian to take the initiative to find them, so that they would suffer as little loss as possible. However, the strange quiet atmosphere of the Middle Continent did not prevent the Council of Light the West Continent, and part of the East Continent from falling into a carnival. After Yang Dingtian's victory, hundreds of demon vulture messengers immediately flew in all directions of the chaotic world. In just one day and one night, almost all the territories of the Council of Light received this good news that made them go crazy. Then, all the territories of the Council of Light instantly fell into a boiling sea. Cloud Sky City in particular had become a city that never sleeps. Countless wines and delicacies were placed on both sides of the streets. The citizens of Cloud Sky City took out all the good things in their homes and shared them with their neighbors. After the celebration in Cloud Sky City, countless citizens began a grand parade from Great Cloud Sky City to Cloud Sky City Castle. In that time, Yang Dingtian's wife and child had a rare party together. Usually, Yang Dingtian's family kept a very low profile and rarely showed themselves in front of the world. Western Capital City, Iron Furnace City, Qin City, Ba City, and the other 3 cities of the Southwest continent were also celebrating. The navy that was rushing to Zhongzhou State even fired 9 shells into the empty sea to express their inner ecstasy. At the same time, all the soldiers' worship and faith towards Yang Dingtian rose to an unparalleled level. In their hearts, Yang Dingtian was already undefeatable. At that time, Ling Wu immediately went out to look for Wu Yuming, but the Vulture Palace did not. After a period of complete coldness and a period of absent-mindedness, she first left the Zhongjing main hall, then left Zhongjing and flew directly back to the Vulture Palace. Such ruthlessness stunned everyone, and 8 hours after Wu Yoming's defeat, the news immediately reached Wu Lingzi's ears. At that time, he was standing outside the straw hut, waiting for the news of Yang Dingtian's death. However, the news of Wu Yoming's failure came instead of the news of his death. In an instant, Wu Lingzi was really like a bolt from the blue. Then, a deep sense of fear welled up in his heart. That's right, it was fear. When the mountain wind blew, he actually felt a little cold. It was really ridiculous that he actually knew fear. He was one of the rare half-sages in the world. If the Demon King and the Devil Queen did not appear, no one in the world would be his opponent. However, what he was afraid of was the unknown. How was this possible? How was this possible? He was clear about Wu Yoming's cultivation later on. Moreover, Wu Yuming did not hide anything in front of him. She was a 9-star 9th grade great-grandmaster. Although there was a huge disparity between her fighting strength and that of a half-sage, her realm was only half a step away. Wu Yuming was actually defeated? How was this possible? How powerful was Yang Dingtian? Logically speaking, only a half-sage could defeat a 9-star 9th grade great-grandmaster. Wu Lingzi was certain that Yang Dingtian had not broken through to the half-sage realm. However, how old was Yang Dingtian? He was merely 24 years old. He had only started cultivating for a few years. In merely 4 years, he was already able to defeat Wu Yuming. Who else in this world would be able to stop Yang Dingtian's advancement? Perhaps he would break through to the half-sage realm in 2 or 3 years. Then, he would at least be able to defeat him before the age of 30. Once Yang Dingtian's cultivation surpassed his, he would definitely come to kill him. Wu Lingzi knew that although Yang Dingtian hated Wu Yuming, he also admired her a little. But to him, it was pure hatred and disdain. Wu Lingzi had never doubted that Yang Dingtian's cultivation would surpass his before the age of 30. However, the reason why he dared to offend Yang Dingtian was that he thought that Yang Dingtian would definitely die this time, and that Wu Yuming would definitely be able to kill him. However, the result was beyond his wildest dreams. Not only did Wu Yuming fail to kill him, but she was also defeated in one move. Therefore, he felt cold all over in infinite fear. This time, Yang Dingtian did not die. He would be in trouble. The Vulture Palace would be in big trouble. It might even be a disaster. He ignored the messenger who came to inform him. Then, he returned to his straw hut in a daze. He gasped for breath, and then sat down in the middle of the straw hut. Then Wu Lingzi sat there, chattering and muttering to himself. In 5 or 6 years, Yang Dingtian would definitely come to kill him. He would definitely come to kill him. Damn Wu Yuming. Damn Wu Yuming. Damn Wu Yuming. She should be cut into pieces. It was all your bragging that made me think that young Ding Tian would definitely die. That was why I tried so hard to show off. Now, I have completely offended young Ding Tian. If young Ding Tian does not die this time, it will be me who will die in the future. The Vulture Palace will be finished. Wolingzi desperately forced himself to calm down. He had to think of a way. In an instant, Wolingzi had an impulse to immediately withdraw all the Black Vulture core in the south-central continent. Then he closed all the connections between the Vulture Palace and the outside world. It seemed that as long as he hid, nothing would happen. But he knew very well that this time, he could not escape. Then an idea came to his mind. How about I kill young Ding Tian with my own hands? Yes, I will kill young Ding Tian with my own hands. If he doesn't die, I will definitely die in 5 or 6 years. Then, Wolingzi suddenly stood up and was about to walk out of the straw hut. He was about to rush to Zhongjing to kill young Ding Tian. But just as he reached the door of the straw hut, he stopped. No, I can't go. Maybe young Ding Tian already expected me to go, and is setting up an inescapable trap? Maybe Hai Xian is also here. Zhu Qingzhu is also here. Duge Xiao is also here. If I go, I will definitely die. Yes, I can't go. Then, Wolingzi immediately ran back to his cushion and sat down. Of course, at this time, young Ding Tian's life was saved. If he went to find young Ding Tian at this time, and really went all out to kill young Ding Tian, of course, young Ding Tian would not be able to stop him. However, this person was already extremely paranoid. I can't kill young Ding Tian. What should I do? Should I beg Dongli and let Dongli kill him? No, that bitch Lingbai has already escaped from Dongli and went to young Ding Tian's side. Dongli is currently dissatisfied with the Vulture Palace. Moreover, Dongli is currently under the command of Queen Hai Xian, and Queen Hai Xian wants young Ding Tian to be her husband. What should I do? Wolingzi immediately paced up and down in the straw hut. He was unable to calm down. Although young Ding Tian would only come to kill him 5 or 6 years later, to him, this was already a huge matter. Why was he so hell-bent on helping Wu Yuming? It was to perform in front of Wentian. He didn't want Wentian to challenge the battle god, but Wentian's defeat was at least 1,000 years later. Of course, it would be good if he could live for 1,000 years. But now young Ding Tian would come to kill him in 5 or 6 years. Speaking of which, he, Wolingzi, was also a peak expert in the universe. It was really strange for him to be able to reach such a stage. At this moment, a message came from outside that the Vulture Palace had returned. Wolingzi was instantly enraged. This bitch. After Wu Yuming changed her attitude towards the Vulture Palace, she considered herself as Wu Yoming's wife, and cast aside her identity as the princess of the Vulture Palace. Now that Wu Yuming was finished, she came back like a stray dog? How could there be such a good thing? Therefore, Wolingzi had the intention to chase her away. But when he thought about how she was the only heavenly spirit master in the world, and more importantly, she was his daughter, Wolingzi's heart softened. At this moment, Wolingzi rushed up. His eyes were red and filled with fear. Old ancestor, what should I do? What should we do? When Wolingzi heard Vulture ask him what should he do, he frowned. This bitch was indeed selfish. Her first sentence was actually asking him what should he do? Little girl, did you see with your own eyes that Wu Yuming was killed in one move? Wolingzi asked in a trembling voice. Yes, it was killed in one move. Young Ding Tian came out unscathed. Vulture said in a trembling voice. Suddenly, Wolingzi's lips turned purple. He immediately blurted out. Little girl, you are his sworn sister. He must still have feelings for you. Why don't you secretly get together with him? In an instant, Vulture looked at Wolingzi in disbelief. This was what his great-grandfather said? Where did his arrogant demeanor go? Why did it seem like he was even more scared out of his wits than her? No. Suddenly, Vulture said sternly, I am not a prostitute. Even if I die, I will not beg young Ding Tian, and I will not be with young Ding Tian. I would rather be a prostitute than be young Ding Tian's woman. After saying that, Vulture was also shocked. Why did she get so agitated and speak so loudly? Then, she vaguely understood that the short time she spent with young Ding Tian was perhaps the purest time of her life. She did not want to face that time. Wolingzi looked at Vulture, licked his dry and cold lips and said, Why don't you go to the Dongli grassland? Vulture was completely stunned. The old ancestor that he thought was as powerful as heaven and earth was actually so weak. Could it be that he only knew how to give away his woman, his daughter, as goods? First, he gave her to Wu Yuming. Then he gave her to Yang Dingtian. And now he wanted to give her to Dongli. Previously, when the old ancestor gave Ling Bai to Dongli, although she was not very happy, she did not have much of a reaction. Instead, she despised Ling Bai, thinking that she was just a good, and that it would not be her turn to experience such a thing. She did not expect that it would be her turn so soon. Vulture stared at Wolingzi and said coldly, Great-grandfather, old ancestor, my father, you are a semi-sage. You are a supreme expert in the world. Can you show half of the demeanor of an expert? Can you not be scared out of your wits by Yang Dingtian? Can you not let me down? When these words came out, Wolingzi's expression changed drastically. He gritted his teeth and felt that his authority and dignity had been attacked like never before. He immediately raised his hand and was about to strike down Vulture. However, what followed was an incomparable love in his heart. This was his daughter, his precious daughter, and also his only child. That's right, although he had many grandchildren, they were all in name. Little girl, great-grandfather. Oh, old father sees further than you. Yang Dingtian can't do anything to us now, but in 4 to 5 years, he will definitely come to kill me, to destroy our Vulture Palace. Wolingzi said. Moreover, no one will be able to stop him. Then kill him. Kill him when he is at his proudest. Vulture said coldly. Go to the central capital and kill him personally. This way, you will be able to answer to Emperor Wentian. In an instant, Vulture's cold and vicious face gave Wolingzi a fright. Wolingzi himself was incomparably sinister, but he didn't want his precious daughter to be the same. The reason why he loved Vulture so much was because his naive and quick-witted appearance had a stimulating effect on his old and weary heart. At this point, Vulture's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, great-grandfather, if you go and kill Yang Dingtian, this will be the best opportunity. In any case, if he doesn't die, we will die. Wolingzi took a few deep breaths and said, Little girl, I also want to kill him, but I can't. Yang Dingtian can obviously defeat Wu Yuming, but he pretends that he will definitely lose. This shows that this person is very scheming. He will definitely know that I want to kill him, so he must have set up a trap. If I go and kill him now, I will be walking into the trap. Trap? Which trap in this world can harm you? Even if all the martial grandmasters in the Council of Light worked together, they would still not be your match. Vulture said sternly. Then what about Zhu Qingzhu and Duge Xiao? Although I won't lose with the two of them, I won't be able to kill Yang Dingtian. What if Queen Hai Xian also comes? I will be dead, I will be dead. Wolingzi hissed. No, I can't go. I definitely can't go. If I go, I will be finished. Vulture's expression changed. Then go to the Netherworld Sea and find Wu Yu. You two half-sages will work together to go to the central capital and kill Yang Dingtian. Chapter 7:14. He heard Vulture telling him to find Wu Yu and the two semi-sage experts to kill Yang Dingtian. Wolingzi's eyes lit up. This was indeed a feasible plan. If the two semi-sage experts Wolingzi and Wu Yu joined forces to enter Zhongjing, then no one would be able to stop Yang Dingtian from dying. Even if Zhu Qingzhu, Duge Xiao, and Hai Xian joined forces, they wouldn't be able to defeat the two semi-sage experts. However, Wolingzi's heart sank into a strange mood. It wasn't Wolingzi's turn to kill Yang Dingtian. It should be the disciples of the Demon King Wentian who would kill him. If he and Wu Yu went to kill Yang Dingtian, wouldn't it be a bit too much? Wouldn't it be a bit too convenient for the Temple of Annihilation? This was Wolingzi's character. He was suspicious, fickle, and overcautious. Vulture suddenly said in a cold voice, Great-grandfather, Yang Dingtian is still alive because you and he didn't kill him. Otherwise, Yang Dingtian would have died a long time ago. Moreover, this is the last chance. If you don't kill him now, you'll never be able to kill him. At that time, We'll be the ones to die. You'll be the one to die. And the Vulture Palace will be annihilated. Vulture's words could be said to be enlightening. Wolingzi was almost startled awake. Yes, this was the last chance to kill Yang Dingtian. If they missed this opportunity, they wouldn't be able to kill Yang Dingtian once he broke through to the semi-sage realm. At that time, it would be the end of the Vulture Palace. Wolingzi immediately stood up and said, I'll go to the Netherworld Sea immediately. Vulture said, By the way, the Netherworld Sea has been completely blocked by Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian's ancient giant beasts and thousands of ships have completely blocked the sea area within 100 miles. If you want to enter the Netherworld Sea, I'm afraid you'll have to put in some effort. I'm a semi-sage. An ancient sea beast can't do anything to me, Wolingzi said. Then, his body directly turned into a stream of light and headed towards the west. He did not even ride the black vulture and directly flew. At this time, many people had been sent out by the Council of Light to search for Wu Yoming's whereabouts, but to no avail. At this time, there was a meeting in the hall of the Council of Light. What were they discussing? Of course, it was how to deal with the current situation, how to deal with the situation in Zhongzhou State, and how to deal with the missing Wu Yuming. No one dared to imagine the result of the duel, but no one expected that they would really win, and it was an instant kill. Therefore, even though a day had passed, everyone in the Council of Light was still in a daze. They felt as though they were in a dream. Qiu Wanjie was mocked by everyone in the Council of Light. Song Xiao even said bluntly, Manor Lord Qiu, you're so close to Wu Yuming. Do you know where he went? Qiu Wanjie only smiled embarrassedly and cupped his hands to beg for forgiveness. He was embarrassed but not too angry. In fact, although Qiu Wanjie had wavered many times, he was very, very happy with this result. From the bottom of his heart, he was willing to follow a leader like Yang Dingtian, and not Wu Yuming. Wu Yuming was too cunning. Following him would be too scary and unpredictable. But Qiu Wanjie's character leaned towards weakness. He was really afraid that after Yang Dingtian died, or was defeated, the divine weapon's manor would be destroyed as well. Furthermore, he had a deep understanding of Yang Dingtian's breadth of mind. If he wanted to make a move on you, he would definitely do it directly. He would definitely not scheme against you. In fact, after Yang Dingtian's victory, his attitude towards Qiu Wanjie didn't change. He was still very tolerant and magnanimous. He still allowed him to participate in top-secret matters and didn't ostracize him. In fact, during the previous Council of Light's top-secret meeting, even though Qiu Wanjie was wavering, Yang Dingtian still allowed him to participate. Furthermore, Qin Wanqiu and Song Xiao had been openly mocking Qiu Wanjie, but Yang Dingtian didn't say a single word. Therefore, although Yang Dingtian's political skills and methods were ordinary, his breadth of mind was incomparable. Of course, Qiu Wanjie also knew that this was the last time he wavered. There definitely wouldn't be a next time. Even though Yang Dingtian didn't say a single word, if Qiu Wanjie wavered again, it would be his death date. At that time, either his younger brother or his son would be on the stage. At that time, even if Yang Dingtian wanted to execute him, as his own son, Qiu Yiming wouldn't stand on his side. The current Qiu Yiming was already Yang Dingtian's most fervent supporter. However, he was inexperienced and his cultivation was weak. At this time, he had entered the Heavenly Edict Academy and was madly cultivating. Therefore, when faced with Song Xiao and Yun Kalin's mockery, although he was a little embarrassed, he didn't take it to heart. This was because Yang Dingtian's attitude didn't change. Although Dongfang Minmi didn't treat him well, he didn't say a single word either. None of the Central Continent's leaders have taken the initiative to enter the North Mansion to admit their mistakes? Yang Dingtian asked. Yun Zhenu checked the records and said, Not yet. However, some of the Central Continent's leaders' family members are flying towards the Northwest mainland to visit your wives. Unpresentable things. Song Xiao twitched his mouth. Yun Zhenu said, There's enough information to show that the Central Continent's leaders held 2 secret meetings the day after the duel. The discussion was about the Central Continent's forces joining forces and advancing and retreating together. According to the insider information, they decided in the secret meeting that no one is allowed to compromise with the North Mansion alone. They must wait until sect leader Yang takes the initiative to talk to them. This way, their losses will be minimized. Ha ha ha. Song Xiao laughed and said, "At this time, these fence-sitters still want to bargain. Sect leader, I think you should stop the meeting and start the fight. This time, let me be the commander. I guarantee that I will kill these Central Continent's people and give you a clean Central Continent." At this time, Song Zhao's blood was boiling because of Yang Dingtian's great victory. Moreover, his cultivation had just broken through to the Grandmaster level. His body's battle potential was unbearable. Song Lihua said, "Sect leader, of course it's not a problem to fight the Central Continent's forces. However, the key is whether the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea will intervene. At this time, the Vulture Palace hasn't reacted to Wu Yoming's defeat. The Black Vulture Corps also hasn't shown any signs of retreating." Dongfang Minmi said, "I also think that it's not a problem to solve the Central Continent. The important thing is to solve the problems of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea first." Suddenly, the Council of Light was divided into two groups. Song Xiao represented the radical group. They proposed to start the war directly to solve the problems of the Central Continent. On the other hand, Song Lihua and Dongfang Minmi supported the conservative group. They proposed to solve the problems of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea first. "Solve the problems of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea?" Yun Kalin said. "Now it seems that it's completely impossible. Before you break through to the half-saint level, it's impossible to solve the problems of the Netherworld Sea and the Vulture Palace. Do we have to wait until then to solve the problems of the Central Continent? I think now is the best opportunity. While Wu Yuming is missing, the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea are completely silent. Let's decide the situation with a war and solve the problems of the Central Continent as soon as possible." Dongfang Minmi said, "Then at least we have to form a tacit agreement with the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea first. Let them stay neutral and watch. Then we can start the war." Yang Dingtian said, "Then seniors, if you agree to start the war immediately and solve the problems of the Central Continent once and for all, raise your hands." Song Xiao, Yun Kalin, and Kuei raised their hands. What a coincidence. These three people all had strong tempers. With the help of Yang Dingtian, they had all broken through to the great Grandmaster realm. They were full of fighting spirit. Yang Dingtian said, "Then seniors, if you agree to stabilize the situation of the Central Continent and solve the problems of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea first, or at least let them stay neutral and watch, then solve the problems of the Central Continent, raise your hands." Dongfang Minmi, Song Lihua, Qin Huayu, Qiu Wanjie Guanong, Duan Ruyan, Zhua Qingqi, and most of the others raised their hands. Strangely, Qin Wanqiu and Song Chunhua did not raise their hands twice, as if they were neutral. Seeing Yang Dingtian looking at him, Qin Wanqiu smiled and said, "Sect Master, it's really hard for me to choose this time, so I'll stay neutral." Song Chunhua said, "Me too." Yang Dingtian could not help but look at Yun Zhenu. She was stunned and waved her hand. I'm just a clerk. I don't have the right to vote." Oh, there was one person who did not raise her hand. That was Dishi Bian. Seeing Yang Dingtian looking at her, she was stunned and said, I'm casual." Yang Dingtian was speechless. He decided not to ask Dishi Bian about her attitude in the future. He would just treat her as if she did not exist, because she really did not care about these things. She was casual. Yet, such a person was still the #1 expert in the Radiant Parliament. It was truly laughable. "Then let me explain my attitude," Yang Dingtian said. "First of all, as Master Yun Kalin said, we don't have the ability to solve the problems of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea. In fact, it would be very difficult for us to get them to adopt a neutral attitude. The key point was that Wu Lingzi could not be described as an ordinary person. This person is arrogant, conceited, and as timid as a mouse. If you talk to him seriously, you won't be able to get anything done. He will ask for a sky-high price. Moreover, this person basically does not want to help others. If you want him to stay neutral, it's very simple. Hit him. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Hit him? Wulingzi was a half-saint. They could not hit him. Of course it's fake, not real. Yang Dingtian said. Last time, his Black Vulture Corps was going to enter Zhongjing. I fired 10 super missiles. In fact, it did not cause any damage to the Vulture Palace. However, it scared him immediately. He ordered the Black Vulture Corps to withdraw. Therefore, this person remembers the consequences, but not the consequences. Yang Dingtian continued. If we use war to solve the problem of Zhongzhou state, what are the obstacles? There are only the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea. The Netherworld Sea lacks the means to intervene in the war for the time being. The only thing that can interfere and stop our war is the problem of the Black Vulture in the Vulture Palace. Therefore, as long as we solve the problem of the Vulture Palace, we can start the war. Then, how do we solve the problem of the Vulture Palace? Yang Dingtian said. According to Wulingzi's character, it's still one word. Hit. It's still fake, not real. How can we fake it? It's very simple. Send an elite Demon Vulture Corps to kill hundreds of demon vultures with the brand new experimental weapon, the crystal launchers, and we will take the initiative to create disputes and friction. We will act as if we are going to attack the Vulture Palace and destroy the Black Vulture Corps. That will be enough. Yang Dingtian said. Therefore, I agree with President Song Zhao's opinion. We can solve the problem of Zhongzhou state completely with war. As soon as he said this, Song Zhao's eyes lit up. Yang Dingtian continued. However, I suggest that we use the method of building one plank road under the guise of passing through another. First of all, we will take the initiative to find the leaders of Zhongzhou state and have a talk with them. We will discuss the matter of thoroughly rectifying Zhongzhou state and set very high conditions. We will directly let the Council of Light take charge of the entire Zhongzhou state and revoke 90% of the territories of the feudal lords. As for the leaders of the major sects, as long as they have surrendered to Wu Yuming, they will all be replaced. They will definitely not agree, Song Lihua said. Yes, what we want is for them to disagree, Yang Dingtian said. Then, our Chaos Times will immediately publish a comprehensive announcement that Wu Yuming is the adopted son of the evil ways, the Demon King Wentian. Don't worry, we already have enough evidence and materials about this matter. We will report for a month in a row and let the people of the world know Wu Yuming's identity. We will completely confirm his identity as the leader of the evil ways. Yang Dingtian continued. In this way, whoever surrenders to Wu Yuming will be the leader of the evil ways. According to this crime, we will be on the same side and attack those who are not. The third step is to take the initiative to create friction with the Vulture Palace and make it look like we are going to war with the Vulture Palace. While negotiating with the leaders of Zhongzhou state, we will create friction with the Vulture Palace and make it look like we are going to war to paralyze the leaders of Zhongzhou state. Yang Dingtian said. The fourth step is to wait until the Vulture Palace completely compromises. Millions of troops will directly attack Zhongzhou state from the north and south. Use lightning warfare and storm warfare to take down the entire Zhongzhou state in the shortest time possible. The key is to be fast and thorough. I suggest that the entire Zhongzhou state campaign, from the beginning to the end, should not exceed 3 months. Then, Yang Dingtian looked at Song Xiao and said, and the frontline commander of this Zhongzhou state campaign will be Guild Master Song Xiao, and the deputy commander will be City Lord Kuei Si. When these words came out, everyone's hair stood on end. Those fence-sitters in Zhongzhou state were going to be unlucky. Sure enough, if Song Xiao, the butcher, was the commander, he would really kill the entire Zhongzhou state. Immediately, Song Xiao's eyes lit up, and he was so excited that his beard straightened. He said sternly, I give a military order. I will definitely give you a complete, thorough, and clean Zhongzhou state. The Council of Light was going to take advantage of this rare opportunity to completely massacre Zhongzhou state. Yang Dingtian said, next I will issue a few orders. The first order is to immediately publish the Chaos Times, completely disclose Wu Yoming's identity, kill him, and never make a comeback. As for the information, go to Madame Wu Maji for it. The second order is to immediately draft the negotiation outline, form a negotiation team, headed by Sect Master Dongfeng Minmi, and City Lord Qin Wanqiu as the deputy, and start negotiating with the leaders of Zhongzhou State. The third order is that I will write a Taiando League order, ordering the Vulture Palace's Wulingzi to immediately come to the Zhongjing Council of Light to admit his guilt, otherwise, he will bear the consequences. This order must be strict, and must be rude to Wulingzi, and create friction and conflict with the Vulture Palace. Yes, everyone shouted in unison. Then, the power gears of the Council of Light began to turn, and the curtains of the bloodbath in Zhongzhou State began. Chapter 7:15. After Yang Dingtian gave the order, the headline of the next day's Chaos Times was a huge portrait of Wu Yuming. The face of this portrait was a realistic sketch, while the body was drawn in an elegant freehand style. Wu Yuming was graceful and calm. Her incomparably handsome face immediately appeared on the paper. There was only a huge portrait of Wu Yuming on the front page, followed by a headline. Wu Yuming was defeated in a single move in the duel 2 days ago, and her whereabouts were still unknown. As for the content, it was less than 100 words. Basically, it was about the time, place, people, and events. It described Wu Yuming's defeat and disappearance in an extremely objective way. Only Wu Yuming had such a huge portrait and such luxurious treatment on the headline of the Chaos Times. Even Yang Dingtian hadn't been there before. As for the content of the second page, it was a review of the duel between Yang Dingtian and Wu Yuming at the Taiando League conference a year ago. Whoever won would be the master of the Taiando League. After that, in the following pages, the news about the duel and Wu Yuming came to an end. It was all the normal content of the newspaper, all the way until the gossip section, where the content related to Wu Yuming appeared again. Moreover, it was indirectly related. The title of the content was The Running Bride Ling Wu. This gossip was about Ling Wu and Yang Dingtian. It was about Ling Wu's strength, diligence, and independence. Then, how she met Yang Dingtian, how Yang Dingtian saved her, and how he saved Ling Wu's father. In short, the entire content could only be described with one word. And that was reality. Absolute reality. There wasn't a single bit of fiction. Yang Dingtian wanted to completely drive Wu Yuming away from public opinion. However, he definitely wouldn't create a single rumor, nor would he deliberately smear Wu Yuming's name. Everything was based on the facts. Therefore, it had to start from the story between Ling Wu and Yang Dingtian. And from today onwards, it would be a special issue of the Chaos Times for an entire month. He would expose everything that had happened between Wu Yuming and Yang Dingtian. Everything, including Ling Wu saving Wu Yuming, their chance encounter on the ship, Wu Yuming marrying Vulture, Kuei Si's disappearance, and so on, would only be revealed when Wu Yuming and Yang Dingtian entered the Ghost Hell region to have a secret talk with Dongli. Only then would Wu Yuming's identity as the Demon King Wentian be revealed. In short, everything that had happened to Wu Yuming after she walked around the world would be written clearly and truthfully. He wouldn't lie or exaggerate at all. Every sentence, every matter, was backed by evidence. Finally, all the judgments were left to the readers. Therefore, the entire gossip would be serialized for an entire month, from the beginning to the end. It could be said that Yang Dingtian, who had control of the Chaos Times, could have attacked Wu Yuming in public and exposed his identity a long time ago. However, he didn't do so, because before the duel ended, although these public attacks were meaningful, they were absolutely meaningless. He had to wait until Wu Yuming was completely defeated before he could be completely judged by public opinion. This was because Wu Yuming was different from the 7 refined lane. Wu Yuming was incomparably powerful. As for the 7 refined lane, Yang Dingtian could destroy it with a raise of his hand. All he needed was a reason. Therefore, he had to destroy their reputation first before destroying their physical body. Today was merely the beginning of the serialization of Wu Yuming. However, those who were observant had long smelled a terrifying scent. This was because they could see that although the Chaos Times was reporting on Wu Yuming, it wasn't just targeting Wu Yuming. It was targeting those fence-sitters. Once Wu Yuming's identity as a member of the evil ways was completely confirmed, there would be an absolute reason to destroy the leaders of Zhongzhou state by force. At the same time as the newspaper, the negotiations with the leaders of Zhongzhou state began. With Dongfang Minmi as the leader and Qin Wanqiu as the deputy, the negotiation team undoubtedly looked luxurious and sincere. Instantly, the leaders of Zhongzhou state heaved a long sigh of relief. As expected, Yang Dingtian was anxious to solve the problem, and was also full of sincerity. This way their danger was greatly reduced. In fact, the leaders of Zhongzhou state even felt some disdain in their hearts. They felt that Yang Dingtian was really not shrewd. He was really superficial to come in such a hurry to negotiate. Very soon, the representative of the Central Continent forces was also elected. On the fourth day after the duel, the negotiations were officially held. On behalf of the Council of Light, Dongfang Minmi directly put forward three main conditions. Disarm 90% of the vassals of Zhongzhou state. These vassals could enter the various defense areas as civil officials or military officials. Remove the territories of most of the vassals. The Tiando League would use the treasury, the shares of the Chamber of Commerce, and money to redeem their territories. All the leaders of the major sects who had surrendered to Wu Yuming, especially the leaders of the first-tier forces of the Tiando League, would be replaced. The old leaders would all enter the observation period to see what would happen in the future. Although the leaders of Zhongzhou state were afraid, they immediately exploded when they heard the news. Some of the leaders of Zhongzhou state couldn't help but be angry and directly curse, laughing at Yang Dingtian for being whimsical. Without a doubt, the first negotiation ended on a sour note. Then, the forces of Zhongzhou state and the Council of Light entered a state of indifference. The forces of Zhongzhou state stepped up their contact with the representatives of the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea, who stayed in the South Mansion. It wasn't easy to hold a second negotiation. The forces of Zhongzhou state hoped that the Council of Light could lower the conditions. However, Dongfang Minmi still put forward the same three conditions. Suddenly, the representative of Zhongzhou state couldn't stand it at all. He sneered and said, "Leader Yang Dingtian is so powerful. Why didn't he punish the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea? Instead, he keeps making trouble for us. Is he bullying the weak and fearing the strong?" Immediately, the second negotiation ended on a sour note. The indifference between the Council of Light and the forces of Zhongzhou state became more and more intense. The special issue of the Chaos Times continued to be published every day, and the progress of the negotiation was reported in real time. Therefore, the circulation of the Chaos Times during this period increased day by day, and Wu Yuming instantly replaced Yang Dingtian as the most famous person in the chaos world. His presence was even stronger among the ordinary people, because in the gossip, he was almost described as the protagonist, so he was very immersed in it. As a result, Wu Yuming gained many loyal fans, especially women. Therefore, the truth, objectivity, and authority of Wu Yuming's article was recognized by everyone. Although the half-saint Wulingzi's flying speed was not as fast as the demon Vulture King, it was still very fast. Only one day later, he reached the sky above the Netherworld Sea. Looking from the sky, the warships of the Southwest Fleet were densely packed and fully armed. They surrounded the area within a radius of a few hundred miles. At the entrance of the Netherworld Sea region, the ancient giant beast Xiao Xiao had already occupied the dozens of kilometers of sea beside the Silver Beach. Its gigantic body, which was thousands of meters long, was swimming in the sea, full of irritation and uneasiness. And almost all the underwater creatures in this sea had been eaten by it. The ancient giant beast Xiao Xiao was extremely fierce when it killed great masters in the sea. But as a half-saint, Wulingzi was not afraid of it. Of course, he didn't want to fight with such a stupid thing. Others might not be familiar with the entrance of the Netherworld Sea, but he was quite familiar with it. At a height of tens of thousands of meters, he found the entrance of the Netherworld Sea. Then, like a flash of light, he swooped down in an instant. Almost before the ancient giant beast Xiao Xiao reacted, He had already entered the sea, passed through the entrance, and entered the boundary of the Netherworld Sea. Wu Yuming was defeated, and she was defeated in one move, Wu Lingzi said. Wu Yu's beautiful and mysterious face was hard to distinguish between male and female. Even after so many years, Wu Lingzi still felt a suffocating feeling when he saw this face that was so beautiful that it made people hold their breath. When Wu Yu heard the news, there was almost no expression on her face. After a long time, she just sighed. It's only been 4 years since Yang Dingtian started cultivating. Although we don't have to be afraid of him now, we won't be able to control him when he breaks through to the half-saint realm in 3 to 5 years, Wu Lingzi said. And this person hates the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea to the bone. I predict that in less than 10 years, he will definitely come to destroy the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea. We can't raise a tiger and invite calamity. Then what do you mean? Wu Yu asked. Kill him before he becomes a half-saint, Wu Lingzi said. At this time, he has entered the Zhongjing. Kill him. Okay, then you go, Wu Yu said. Wu Lingzi was stunned and said, You won't go with me? Wu Yu smiled and said, Why should I go with you? You alone are more than enough to kill Yang Dingtian. Wu Lingzi said, But Yang Dingtian will certainly know that I want to kill him, so he will ask De Guxiao and Zhu Qingzhu to help. Although I'm not afraid with the two of them, I won't be able to kill Yang Dingtian. What I'm worried about is that if Queen Hai Xian is here, then not only will I not be able to kill Yang Dingtian, but I will also fall into a trap. It's hard to predict whether it will be a blessing or a curse. So, you invited me to the Zhongjing to kill Yang Dingtian? Wu Yu smiled and said, That's exactly what I meant, Wu Lingzi said. Wu Yu said, Wu Ling, first of all, let me tell you that Hai Xian will not be here. Although she has fantasies about Yang Dingtian, she doesn't want him to be strong, and it's not like she doesn't want Yang Dingtian to die. Secondly, De Guxiao may be secretly protecting Yang Dingtian, but Zhu Qingzhu won't. He's not even in the primal chaos world anymore. So, you alone are enough to kill him. Really? Wu Lingzi's eyes brightened. Of course, Wu Yu said. Wu Lingzi said, Then why don't you come with me? Wu Yu said, Because I can't go. Wu Lingzi said, Why is that? Wu Yu said, Because I have indirectly promised someone that I won't kill Yang Dingtian with my own hands. Who did you promise? Wu Lingzi asked. The guardian of the celestial Red Sea, Saint Tantai, Wu Yu said. Wu Lingzi was shocked. Tantai wants to protect Yang Dingtian, but you want me to kill him? Wu Yu said, First of all, Tantai has no intention of protecting Yang Dingtian. It's just that she and Yang Dingtian have a very small fate. When Yang Dingtian came to the Sea of Hades to take Shimin Yinyan away, he had a grudge with Song Yu. He defeated Song Yu and angered the Sea of Hades. I wanted to get rid of him, but I found Tantai's mark in his brain, a very faint mark. Tantai didn't want me to kill him at that time, although this fate has already been used up for Yang Dingtian. But since I have promised, I can't go back on my words. More importantly, you alone are more than enough to kill Yang Dingtian. If you want me to go with you, I think you are overestimating him. I am ashamed to go. Wu Lingzi nodded, then said, Queen Hai Xian really won't help Yang Dingtian. Of course not. Wu Yu said. In fact, in the matter of Yu Ming and Yang Dingtian's duel, Hai Xian secretly helped Wu Yuming, hoping that Yang Dingtian would lose or even die. There's such a thing. Wu Lingzi was pleasantly surprised. Wu Yuming has a woman called Third Lady Gongsun. She is already dead, killed by Wu Maji. At this time, the soul in her body has become Qin Ji. Wu Maji went to Dongli grassland to ask for a huge darkness crystal, and asked Qin Ji to poison Wu Yuming. However, Wu Yuming repeatedly asked for the darkness crystal from Dongli grassland, but to no avail. This is because he has the darkness mystic flame in his body that specializes in devouring mystic flames and darkness crystals. Hai Xian clearly knew that the darkness crystal could only make Yu Ming stronger, but she still gave it to Wu Maji. It can be seen that she wants to help Yu Ming, Wu Yu said. And during the duel, Wu Yuming's darkness mystic flame was much stronger than what I remembered. because it devoured the darkness mystic flame. Wolingzi said happily, "It seems that Hai Xian really wants young Dingtian to die. However, Yu Ming has such a strong darkness mystic flame. Why was he killed in one move?" Wu Yu shook his head and said, "This is not what I know. Maybe Yang Dingtian specializes in subduing the darkness mystic flame. If Wu Yuming didn't use the darkness mystic flame, she wouldn't have lost. It's really fate that Yang Dingtian was born to subdue him." After saying that, Wu Yu smiled and said, "If that's the case, why are you still afraid of Yang Dingtian?" Being stimulated by the goddess, Wolingzi's ambition was immediately ignited. He smiled and said, "What a joke. Why would I be afraid of such a small ant? I'll go to the central capital now and slaughter him." Wu Yu said, "Then I'll wait for your good news." Wolingzi smiled and said, "Why don't you hear Yang Dingtian's head fall to the ground in 3 days' time?" Then, Wolingzi bade farewell and left. He turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the netherworld sea region. The ancient giant beast Xiao Xiao couldn't stop him. It instantly went berserk and set off huge waves on the surface of the sea. However, inside the netherworld sea's barrier, Poland was not startled. After leaving the netherworld sea, Wolingzi's heart was filled with disdain and killing intent towards Yang Dingtian. Without Zhu Qingzhu, without Queen Hai Xian, what did he Wolingzi have to fear? "Yang Dingtian, you're dead meat." Wolingzi's speed reached the extreme and flew towards the central continent. The netherworld sea and the southern barbarian continent were on the same level. After a full day, Wolingzi flew above the southern barbarian continent. He originally wanted to go to the central capital to kill Yang Dingtian, and then return to the Vulture Palace. However, after thinking about it, what if something happened in the Vulture Palace? Therefore, he returned to the Vulture Palace first. After confirming that everything was fine, he went north to the central capital to kill Yang Dingtian. After entering the Vulture Palace, he first received a handwritten letter from Yang Dingtian. It was an imperial edict in the name of the Council of Light. Wolingzi, as one of the leaders of the Tiando League, you colluded with Wan Wentian's adopted son, Wu Yuming, and plotted to take over the position of the Tiando League. Your intentions are punishable by death, and your crimes are monstrous. I order you to come to the central capital to plead guilty within 23 days after receiving this letter. If you're late, you'll have to bear the consequences. The words in the letter were strict, and it was completely in a commanding tone. It was as if Wolingzi was one of those random sects in the central continent. After reading it, Wolingzi flew into a rage. His killing intent was limitless. Chapter 716. Yang Dingtian, you're courting death. Then I'll fulfill your wish. Endless anger turned into a sentence of gnashing teeth. Then, the letter in Wolingzi's hand directly turned into ashes. He suddenly turned into a stream of light and flew directly towards the north. He wanted to go to the central capital and dismember Yang Dingtian into pieces in front of everyone. He wanted to make him fall into hell when he was at his most glorious and complacent time. However, he had just flown for less than 100 miles. A thought suddenly emerged in his mind. Why did Yang Dingtian write me such a letter? He wants to provoke me on purpose. He wants to provoke me to go to the central capital to kill him. Otherwise, why would his letter be so rude and presumptuous? He's not an idiot. No, there's a conspiracy in this. There must be a conspiracy in this. I can't go. If I go, I'll be walking right into a trap. Yang Dingtian must have set a trap for me. Although I don't know what kind of trap it is, there must be a trap. Otherwise, why would he specially write a letter to me? Then, Wolingzi immediately shivered and stopped completely. Then, he started to doubt Wu Yu's words. She said that Hai Xian hoped for Yang Dingtian to die. Maybe she was lying. Maybe Hai Xian already knew that Yang Dingtian had a way to restrain the darkness mystic flame. That was why she gave Wu Yuming the darkness crystal. Hai Xian wanted to help Yang Dingtian. She wanted him to kill Wu Yuming. I treat Wu Yu as a goddess, but she might treat me as a weed. She might also want to harm me. Then Wolingzi laughed loudly and said, Yang Dingtian, You want to trick me and kill me? It's not that easy. The letter you wrote is completely a case of being too smart for your own good. Ha 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 ha. Instead, I saw the flaw. Then, Wuxia suddenly felt incomparably lucky. Fortunately, his wisdom was unparalleled, and he saw through Yang Dingtian's plot. If he rushed into Zhongjing, Zhu Qingzhu, Dugashao, and Hai Xian would all be waiting for him. Although he wouldn't die, he would be seriously injured. Evil spirits could give people an immortal body, but their lifespan was limited. At most, they would reach the end of their lifespan after 1 or 200 years. The netherworld ghost flame gave people eternal life, but there was no such thing as an immortal body. He would still die if his heart was pierced by a sword. That was why Wuxia cherished his life so much. It wasn't easy for him to obtain immortality. If he were to be killed by someone, it would be such a waste. Therefore, for more than 100 years, Wuxia hid in the Vulture Palace and never came out. I've really lost my mind. Why did I get entangled with that little bastard Wu Yuming? Wu Yu is completely heartless to me. Why did I still have fantasies about her? I ended up in such a sorry state. I was actually humiliated by a mere junior. Hateful Wu Yuming, hateful Wu Yuming. Wuxia cursed loudly in the air. Then, he decided to return to the Vulture Palace like this. Yes, he was really dejected. He flew out angrily and wanted to kill Yang Dingtian. In the end, he flew out less than 100 miles before he turned back. Therefore, Wuxia instinctively covered his face. He hoped that when he went back, he couldn't let the vulture see him. It was really too embarrassing. But what was he afraid of? What would come? Vulture directly flew over from the front and shouted, "Great-grandfather, great-grandfather." Wuxia planned to pretend that he didn't hear anything and flew directly back to the thatched hut. "Great-grandfather, I've thought about it. You can't kill Yang Dingtian. You can't kill him." Vulture shouted loudly. Wuxia was stunned and delighted. Then he flew over and said coldly with a straight face, "Why can't I kill him? This ant thief should be cut into pieces. He actually dared to provoke me. He's purely seeking death." Then Wuxia stared coldly at Vulture and said, Are you soft-hearted? You can't kill him?" "No, I forgot. I still have the evil spirit planted in me by Wu Maji. If you kill Yang Dingtian, Wu Maji will definitely kill me," Vulture said loudly. For some reason, Wuxia felt slightly disappointed. Vulture continued, "Before we deal with Wu Maji, we can't kill Yang Dingtian. I'm thinking, how can we get hold of Wu Maji's weakness, so that she won't dare to kill me?" Wuxia said, "Who does Wu Maji care about the most?" "Yang Dingtian and her twins." Vulture said, "Yes, we'll capture her twins and use them as hostages. At that time, not only will Wu Maji not dare to kill me, she'll bow down to us and beg for mercy. When the time comes, I will definitely make her suffer 10 times the amount of torture." After saying that, Vulture's eyes lit up. She imagined the scene of torturing Wu Maji. Suddenly, her delicate and beautiful face became slightly distorted. Then she looked at Wuxia and said, "Ancestor, you haven't seen Wu Maji, right? She's a peerless beauty. None of the women in Vulture Palace can compare to her. She's even on par with Wu Yu. Don't you want to have a taste?" Suddenly, Wuxia's eyes lit up. He wasn't lustful, but he had a preference for peerless beauties. Vulture said, "Wu Maji's twin children are currently in the Snow Clan. There are several great Grandmaster realm powerhouses there. Ordinary people won't be able to take the twins away. But if you go, you'll definitely be able to capture them." Hearing this, Wuxia's face turned cold. His eyes became clear and he said, "Girl, unless it's absolutely necessary, don't touch the twins or Yang Dingtian's children. Otherwise, he'll use all means to exterminate the Vulture Palace." Then Wuxia said coldly, "All right, since that's the case, I'll let that brat Yang Dingtian go before I deal with the evil energy in your body." However, since he dared to write a letter to insult me, I won't let him off lightly. I'll definitely teach him a lesson. "How?" Vulture asked. "Go and send a message to Ling Chuzi. Tell him to send 30,000 Black Vulture army directly into Zhongjing. If God or Buddha blocks, kill them all. Walingzi said coldly. Vulture gritted his teeth and said, if I don't send the message, you'll send someone else? Why? Walingzi asked. Before I find a way to get rid of him. I don't want to provoke him directly. Vulture said. Walingzi's face twitched. Then, he circulated his Xian Qi and said loudly, listen to my order. Let Ling Chuzi lead the Vulture Palace's experts, and send 30,000 Black Vulture army into Zhongjing. If God or Buddha blocks, kill them all. Yes. Immediately, several Vulture Palace's experts shouted. They sat on the black vultures and flew towards Nanzhong continent. At this moment, it had already been 6 days since the duel. The Council of Light's aerial army had almost searched the entire Nanzhong continent. However, they still couldn't find Wu Yoming's figure. It was as if he had really disappeared completely. Sect Master, Ling Wu has gone missing. Yun Zhenyu reported. The people monitoring the southern residents have discovered that Ling Wu's figure isn't there. She should have left after disguising herself. Is it possible that she knows Wu Yoming's whereabouts? Yang Dingtian asked. It shouldn't be possible. Yun Zhenyu said. From Tai Muli and Mutsun's reaction, Wu Yoming's whereabouts are completely unknown. I think that Ling Wu should be looking for Wu Yuming alone. However, she definitely won't be able to find him. Then Yun Zhenyu said, Sect Master, should we send more people to search for Ling Wu's traces? We can send more people. However, don't have too much hope for her. Even our people can't find Wu Yuming, let alone Ling Wu alone. Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Yun Zhenyu said. Yang Dingtian turned his gaze and looked at Yun Zhenyu's extremely charming face. Yun Zhenyu felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by him. She said angrily, if you continue to stare, I will really force you to marry me. Yang Dingtian stared at her small face, her gradually growing chin, her big eyes and her delicate nose. There was simply no more charming oval face than this. Instantly, he couldn't help but laugh. Did anyone say that your face is purely the face of a vixen? It's not just my face. People have directly said that I'm a vixen. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to reach the heavens in one step and become your eternal pet. Yun Zhenyu said. Yang Dingtian said. Recently, Master Yun Kalen seems to have become at least 10 years younger. I don't even dare to admit it. Compared to his previous appearance, he's at least 10 times more beautiful. He's simply radiant and dazzling. After breaking through to the Grandmaster realm, the knot in his heart has been removed. Naturally, he'll become younger. Yun Zhenyu said. Furthermore, he's already living together with my father openly. I reckon that Kuei Ning's mother is going to blame you. She won't. For City Lord Kuei Si to only have 2 women, it's already very impressive. Yang Dingtian said. Who can compare to you? Yun Zhenyu rolled her eyes at Yang Dingtian and said, Sect Patriarch Dongfang only has 1 wife. Cough. Yang Dingtian pretended to cough awkwardly and said, I didn't notice it previously. After Master Yun Kalen turned into a great beauty, I realized that you do look rather similar to her. I'm her child. Of course we look alike. Yun Zhenyu said. Yang Dingtian's mind was in a mess. He had once thought that this Yun Zhenyu was Dugu Fengwu. After checking, he realized that she wasn't. Immediately after, he thought that Huang Yu was Fengwu, but she wasn't either. Therefore, Yang Dingtian turned and looked at Yun Zhenyu again. In the end, after Yun Kalen became a great master, she became 10 years younger and 10 times prettier. She became a charming great beauty. Yun Zhenyu might be prettier than her, but the 2 of them looked very similar. Ordinary people would be able to recognize her with a single glance. Therefore, Yang Dingtian was completely confused. Furthermore, Wu Yuming had previously revealed that she wanted to use Yun Zhenyu's identity to make an issue out of it. She was using Yun Zhenyu to threaten Yang Dingtian. Therefore, during that period of time, Yang Dingtian brought her along with him every day. In the end, Wu Yuming didn't make a move on Yun Zhenyu. Some time ago, Senior Duga Xiao was actually in the central capital. He might still be around now. Did he visit you again? Yang Dingtian asked. Yun Zhenyu shook her head lightly. Do you know who your master is? Yang Dingtian asked. I heard that she's Queen Hai Xian of the Snakemen Empire. Yin Zhenhu said. She's a half-saint. Why is your martial arts only at that level? Yang Dingtian said. I'm a martial honor. I'm only in my 20s. Yin Zhenhu said. However, Master doesn't put in much effort in teaching me martial arts. She doesn't spend much time in the valley. Most of the time she's outside. I'm always alone at home. Yang Dingtian said. Zhenhu, tell me honestly. You might be her? Sister Fengwu? Yin Zhenhu said. I don't know and I don't care. I think my master is the only one who knows about this. Yang Dingtian rubbed his forehead and said. All right, let's not talk about this. Right, how's the negotiation going? The first failed, the second failed, and the third negotiation is still far away. Yin Zhenhu said. It seems that because the Vulture Palace and the Netherworld Sea are watching from the front, the Central Continent's factions are becoming more fearless. All right, the more fearless they are, the better, Yang Dingtian said. Then what about Wulingzi from the Vulture Palace? Why hasn't he reacted? That shouldn't be the case. My letter should have completely infuriated him. Who knows? Maybe he wasn't at home when he received the letter. Yin Zhenhu said. At this moment, Zhu Hongshua's voice came from outside. Sect leader, there's a change in the south-central continent. The Black Vulture army is forming up in the sky. They might invade the central continent. Yang Dingtian was overjoyed. How many? I don't know, but it shouldn't be the whole army. Zhu Hongxue said. Good. Yang Dingtian said happily. Wulingzi is indeed interesting. Good. Has our secret weapon been prepared? Yin Zhenhu said. We have already created 700 Phoenix-grade mini-crystal bullets. These Phoenix-grade bullets are made with special crystals. Also, we have created a few thousand fire-grade mini-crystal bullets. These are normal crystals, their power and flying speed are much smaller. Other than that, we have already created 1,000 launchers. These weapons have all been equipped to the most elite Demon Vulture army. They can fight in the sky at any time. Good. Yang Dingtian laughed. Let Song Chunhua and Kuei-Qing fight this battle. Yes. Yin Zhenhu immediately drafted the order, and Yang Dingtian signed it. 15 minutes later, Song Chunhua and Kuei-Qing received the order. They immediately rode on the Demon Vulture army and led 1,000 elite Demon Vulture army into the sky. This Demon Vulture army was made up of experts. On every Demon Vulture, there was a small crystal crossbow and a launcher. There were over 100 arrows and 10 mini crystal bullets. The bloody black gold was a special crystal. Originally, it could only be ignited with Xian flame, or gunpowder explosion to ignite the crystal. The trembling sound of the huge energy could cause the special crystal to explode. But it could not be ignited with Xian flame every time it was fired. Very quickly, the warlocks solved this problem. They just needed to reach the same temperature as Xian flame. Then how could they reach such high temperature? Very simple. Use the Xian flame to melt the bloody black gold into molten iron, and store it in the energy field crystal box. The shockingly high-temperature bloody black gold liquid would float in the energy field, and the heat loss would be very slow. When needed, open the box and ignite the energy field crystal. However, this was still very troublesome. The warlocks were currently researching how to solve this problem from the energy field of the crystal. Just in case, Song Chunhua still put on the magic fire demon phoenix. It was already more than 2 meters in size. With an order, this 1,000 Demon Vulture army equipped with secret weapon rose into the sky and flew towards the southern middle continent. And the southern middle continent's 30,000 Demon Vulture army covered the sky and whistled north. This time, not only did they want to win, but they also wanted a magnificent victory. They wanted to beat Wulingzi into submission. At the same time, Ling Wu had already arrived at the southern middle continent. She steered a small crystal boat and went south to sea to look for Wu Yuming. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.